CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Of course, when all's been said and done, the definitive statement about life has already been made. It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time, and then vanisheth away. Yes, that's true. But sometimes, some of us vanish away without warning, without cause, without reason or motive, leaving behind a mystery that seems too difficult to understand. Or is it too simple?
How did you kill him?
Why would I want to kill him?
My dear lady, he spent all your money. He chased after other women. Do you need any other reasons?
I didn't kill him, Sheriff. I didn't kill him.
Then what happened to him?
I told you. He just vanished into thin air.
Oh, come now. You're an intelligent person. You can think of something better than that.
Our mystery drama, If a Body, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars Fred Gwynne. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Reynolds Wrap. It's the wrap that makes holiday shine. Reynolds Wrap. Wraps up work and saves you time.
It would be hard to do all my holiday cooking without heavy-duty Reynolds Wrap. To line roasting pans so there's no big scouring job. To tent or wrap the turkey so it bakes up juicy. And nothing better than Reynolds Wrap for wrapping up turkey dinner leftovers. It helps you zip through the holidays.
Reynolds Wrap. Use heavy-duty Reynolds Wrap.
I like pepperoni, but it doesn't like me.
Feel better fast with Digel.
With the ingredients in Digel, relief from acid indigestion and gas starts in less than a minute.
I like corned beef. I like cabbage. I like franks. I like beef. I like spaghetti. And meatballs. But they don't like me.
If you like something that doesn't like you,
Feel better fast with Digel.
Digel relief starts in less than a minute. For occasional use only as directed.
The moment you step into Polk Brothers' television department, your eyes go wild. Hundreds of brand new, brand name 1980 models turned on and operating. You'll see the name Sony, all their models, their new 26-inch console, the new long-playing Sony Betamax video cassette recorder, color and black and white portables. They're Polk priced, even bigger savings thanks to Polk trade-in allowances. And with your purchase of any Sony TV at all Polk Brothers stores, a free Polk gift designed to help your entire family enjoy a better life. The 2-volume hardcover $24.95 edition of Sylvia Porter's new money book for the 80s. Specific expert advice on everything from college loans to budgets, buying T-bills to wills. Over 1,400 pages of tips on beating the high cost of living. Polk Brothers is proud to bring you this free gift with most major purchases. We're convinced it can be the greatest financial counselor your teenagers or you could ever have. So get set for the 80s at Polk Brothers, nightly till 10 till 6 on Sunday.
Is truth stranger than fiction? Does art imitate life? Who can say for sure? Of one thing we are certain. Some of the deepest, most puzzling mysteries are not the ones that are spawned by a writer's imagination. For the truly inexplicable and insoluble, consult the police records of any large or small city. For instance, the McKibben case. Clarence McKibben was murdered, or he was kidnapped, or did he simply disappear? Take your pick. On July the 4th, 1899. He was last seen by his wife on his farm some 20 miles from Detroit, Michigan. To this day, no one really knows what happened or why. It's a classic among unsolved mysteries. Follows now the report of the case as recorded by Sheriff Joseph T. Boland.
On the morning of July the 4th, 1899, 10 minutes before 10, Mrs. Mariah McKibben appeared at the door of her neighbor, Mr. Edmund Vale. He says she was distraught, excited, almost hysterical.
Edmund.
Maria, what's wrong?
Edmund, it's Clarence. He's disappeared. He's gone.
But he can't be gone. He's supposed to make the 4th of July address. My goodness, it's less than an hour from now.
Edmund, please, listen. Come with me.
Where?
You were Clarence's best friend.
What do you mean, I was his best friend?
Because... Oh, come with me.
But, Maria...
Edmund, don't ask me any questions. I ran all the way. I'm so scared.
Of what?
I don't know. Come with me, please.
The McKibben farm is some 300 yards from the Vale property. Edmund Vale says that he and Mrs. McKibben walked the distance very quickly. When they arrived at the farmyard, she pointed toward the open field.
That's where Clarence disappeared.
Well, I don't understand, Maria.
Well, he was about to harness Obadiah to the buckboard, and suddenly he stopped. See, Obadiah's still standing there between the shafts.
Maria, please, now try to get a hold of yourself.
I'm trying very hard. I'm trying to tell you exactly what happened.
All right.
Now, Clarence just stopped what he was doing, and he started to walk away.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, did you ask him?
Yes.
Well, what did he say?
Nothing. 1 minute he was standing here at the buckboard with me, getting ready to leave for town. Then, without a word, without a single solitary word, he just started to walk out to the field. I called to him, "Clarence, where are you going?" But he paid me no mind. He just kept walking. And he was about 40, no more than 50 yards away when
When what?
When he was gone.
Maria.
He disappeared.
How could he disappear?
Into thin air.
Oh, Maria, such a thing simply cannot happen.
It can't.
Did you walk out to the spot where you think he disappeared?
Oh, no. No, I couldn't. I'm scared.
Well, just point out the place, then, as nearly as you can.
Well, now, do you see that little bush all by itself?
Yes.
Well, maybe 15, 20 feet in front of it, and about 5, 10 feet to the left.
Yeah, and you're sure?
I'm positive. Oh, well, where are you going?
Out there.
No.
Well, why not?
We don't know what's out there.
Well, we have to see.
It's something awful. He just vanished. 1 second he was there, and the next second he just wasn't.
Now, I better go and see.
Why? Do you want to disappear too? Oh, come, let's get the sheriff. Oh, look, driving down the road, that's Perry Allen. He's got a telephone. Mr. Allen! Mr. Allen!
At 5 minutes after 10, Mr. Perry Allen reached me via the telephone. At 10:45, I arrived at the McKibben farm. I elicited from Mrs. Maria McKibben the basic facts, the ones she had already imparted to Mr. Edmund Vale. You say you didn't personally walk out there to see what happened, Mrs. McKibben.
Oh, no.
Did anyone else? No sense making a mystery out of this. There's simply gotta be a rational explanation. Mrs. McKibben, I'm gonna start walking. When I reach the spot where you say you last saw Clarence, just yell.
There, Sheriff, right there.
Here?
That's the place, the exact place.
You're positive? There's nothing here. Nothing at all. No hole in the ground. No soft places. Nothing's been disturbed. Nowhere he could have gone. I examined practically every inch of ground within a radius of 25 yards. There was no sign of Mr. Clarence McKibben or of what could have happened to him. Then I questioned Mrs. McKibben further. Was your husband upset, disturbed?
Clarence? Why? He was just back from the war. Got himself a medal. He was a hero. The whole town looked up to him.
Then there was nothing unusual about his conduct.
No. But there's something unusual about yours, Sheriff. What are you trying to imply?
Did he have any enemies?
No. And what if he did? Are you suggesting one of them could have murdered him or kidnapped him? How? There was no one here but Clarence and me. No one could have shot him, stabbed him, poisoned him, or taken him away. Why do you ask such ridiculous questions?
Yeah, these are the usual questions, Mrs. McKibben.
But this isn't the usual situation. This is something absolutely and entirely different. Maybe it's supernatural.
Supernatural?
Or maybe some force, some power we simply can't understand made Clarence vanish. How else can you account for it?
Mrs. McKibben, I'm going to account for it through solid, sensible, proved police work procedures. You say you were about to leave for town.
Yes.
What time was this?
Oh, it was after 9 o'clock. We'd finished breakfast, and he went out to harness Obadiah. Then I heard him call me to come out. Well, I put on my hat, and I stepped into the yard.
Now, what time was that? Exactly.
Oh, 9:30.
You're positive? Do you have a watch? Did you look at the clock?
No, but Will Cassidy happened to be walking down the road, and he called out, you folks leaving for town so early? It can't be 9:30.
What did Clarence do yesterday?
He was home all morning. After dinner, about 1:30 in the afternoon, he drove into town.
Why?
Well, he said he had to go to the bank.
For what reason?
For what reason does anybody go to the bank? To take money out or to put money in?
And which one was he going to do?
I don't know. After all, he was the man of the house.
On July 6th, at 11 a.m., I spoke with Mr. Harry K. Tattersall, president of the Farmers and Merchants Trust Company.
Yes, Sheriff, we've got ourselves the makings of a first-class mystery here, attracting attention from all over the state, the country as well.
I'd like to ask you some questions, Mr. Tattersall.
Yes?
Mr. Tattersall, Clarence McKibben was in here the afternoon of July the 3rd, wasn't he?
Yes.
Why?
Well, he came here to withdraw money.
How much money? I wouldn't ask if it might not have a bearing on the investigation.
$5,000.
The day before he disappears, he draws $5,000 from the bank. Did he say why?
No, he did not.
Did you ask him?
Sheriff, I may have told you too much already.
Mr. Tattersall, I respect your position. I know you're uncomfortable, but we may be dealing here with a murder.
Murder?
Or kidnapping. Or both. Or some other form of mayhem.
But his wife says that he just vanished into thin air.
And you believe it? Off the record, tell me what you know about Clarence McKibben.
Well, he was a wild sort. I suppose it's the old story. If your name is Clarence, you grow up to be a sissy or a fighter. Well, he'd gone out west to fight the Indians. But that fighting was already over. So he came back and married Mariah Pearson. She wasn't all that much to look at, but she did have some money.
I see.
Yes, they'd been married for 5 years. And he'd gone through practically all of it. $20,000. Nothing was left, just the farm.
And how did Mariah react to all this?
Well, presumably, she didn't know about it till after Clarence left for the Spanish-American War, when she became the one to pay the bills. The day Clarence went away to the army, there was $9 in the account. Yes. Funny. A war comes in handy for a lot of people. Gives them a chance to get out from under.
And that's why he enlisted?
Well, he'd met this Colonel Roosevelt from New York while he was out west. And when Roosevelt organized that volunteer cavalry outfit, Clarence joined up.
Now, getting back to Mariah McKibben. Left alone, she has to run the farm. She comes to the bank and discovers she's broke. How did she take it?
Well, she wasn't happy. But what could she do about it?
You say there was a balance of $9 the day Clarence McKibben left for the war. Now, just 3 days ago, he withdrew $5,000. Where did that money come from?
I don't know. He brought it back with him.
A man who returns from the war with $5,000? He served for less than a year on second lieutenant's pay. Could he have saved that much? What do they make? $50 a month?
Yeah, thereabouts. And he didn't have the reputation of a thrifty man.
Did you ask him where and how he got the money?
Yes.
And what did he answer?
He just winked.
And now that money has disappeared with him. Or did it? Would Mrs. McKibben know about that $5,000?
Well, you'd have to ask her, Sheriff.
Yes, I would. I believe I have a whole new crop of questions to put to Mrs. Mariah McKibben.
And we can probably guess at some of the most pointed ones, too. But right now, we shall take a short intermission. Don't worry. After all, this case has remained unsolved for over 80 years. It'll still be here when I return shortly with Act 2.
Holidays were made for Michelob. Holidays were made for special friends.
What better beer than Michelob for the holiday season? Special enough to make the right impression. Friendly enough to show you care. No wonder Michelob has become a holiday tradition.
Holidays were made for special times, special places, special things, those special moments the season brings. It's the time to have that smooth and mellow beer. It's Michelob. Holidays were made for Michelob. Holidays were made for Michelob.
Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Just listen to that winter wind howl. Someone once said it's a winter wind that blows no good, especially when it brings you down with a nasty cold or sore throat. That's why it's nice to have a Walgreens nearby with a healthcare center just filled with help and savings, too. For example, through Wednesday, Walgreens' regular $1.19 fever thermometer is on sale for only 79 cents. And for those scratchy throats, Walgreens has the 24-pack of Cepacol throat lozenges on sale for just 99 cents. Check Walgreens for all your healthcare needs. And say, if you have a man on your Christmas gift list who smokes cigars, stop by Walgreens Tobacco Center and pick up Perfecto Garcia cigars. Perfecto Garcia is the premium quality cigar made from vintage tobaccos in Tampa, Florida. A gift of Perfecto Garcia cigars is certain to please. Choose from a variety of sizes and shapes. Perfecto Garcia cigars at Walgreens, the Christmas Shoppers Center.
Years ago, about the only way many Americans could shop was from pictures in a catalog. But 44 years ago, Polk Brothers changed things. Polk Brothers believed you should be able to compare side by side all the models of all the quality brand name appliances, TV, furniture, carpeting. See them, feel them, try them. Talk to a factory-trained sales counselor about them. Names like RCA, General Electric, Zenith, Sunbeam, Toastmaster, Sony, Panasonic, Toro. Then buy them at a Polk price well below the capability of any catalog outfit. Polk Brothers believed in family shopping hours all year, not just for special seasons. That trade-in allowance has helped your family budget, but most important, the quality of brand name products made the value. Catalog items, off-brand items, were often sorry attempts to imitate brand name quality. Polk Brothers still believes these things. Millions of Polk shoppers agree. So next time you feel tempted to shop catalog, remember the quality of brand names, the low Polk price. Nightly till 10, Sundays until 6.
Second Lieutenant Clarence McKibben made a slight stir in the year 1898 when, as a member of the Rough Rider Cavalry Regiment, he followed Colonel Teddy Roosevelt up San Juan Hill. The following year, as a civilian, he made an even greater stir when he disappeared suddenly and without a trace. Since 1899, there have been many explanations, but no solutions. This is a report of Sheriff Joseph T. Bolin.
On July 7th, at 9 a.m., I arrived at the McKibben farm for another interview with Mariah. You didn't tell me that relations between your husband and yourself were strained, Mrs. McKibben.
Who says they were?
He went through all of your money, didn't he?
Who told you?
It's true, isn't it?
What if it is?
It places another aspect on this case.
Just what are you implying?
Did you resent the fact that he squandered your money?
What would that have to do with anything?
It gives you a motive.
To do what?
Murder him.
Squandered money, spilt milk. What's the use crying over it? Maybe a lot of it wasn't his fault. We did have that panic in 93. Oh, why do I make excuses? He threw it away. And I'm sure a great deal of it even went for women. But what's to be done? It's gone.
There was a chance to get some of it back. $5,000.
$5,000?
You asked him for it. He said no. And so you decided to kill him.
But I didn't kill him.
What did you do with the $5,000?
What $5,000?
The $5,000 he withdrew from the bank the day before.
He couldn't withdraw $5,000 from the bank.
Why not?
Because we don't even have $50 in our name.
Mr. Tattersall says he did make that withdrawal.
But where would Clarence have gotten $5,000?
The fact is, he did get it. And that's why you killed him.
No.
How did you kill him?
I didn't.
What did you do with the body?
I didn't kill him.
I couldn't move her. That night, there was a new turn of events. Mr. Kenneth Arnold and his son, Arthur, were walking home from town. As they passed the McKibben house, they heard her screaming for help. They rushed inside and found her being attacked by a man. They subdued him and brought him to the jail. 9 p.m., July 7th. What's your name?
Frank Fluitt.
We've got you, Fluitt. Breaking and entering. I don't know if we can prove robbery, but we can put you away for attempted rape.
Sheriff, give me a chance.
Why?
I'm a war veteran.
That doesn't give you the right to break into houses and attack women.
Well, I wasn't trying to attack her. That is not that way.
No?
I knew Clarence McKibben in the Army. We was friends.
Yes?
He told me he had this fantastic proposition, and I believed him. I invested every cent I had in the world, $5,000. That was 8 months ago. Hadn't heard from him since.
Yeah, and?
Well, I'd run into some other guys from the outfit. He'd taken them, too. And then I realized what kind of a person he was. I decided he wasn't going to get away with it. I made up my mind to get it back.
And so you killed him?
No, I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you exactly what happened. I got into town a few hours ago. I found out where his house was, and I just walked up to the front door. I wasn't going to make any bones about it.
Yes?
Is Clarence McKibben at home?
No.
Where is he?
Who are you?
An old friend of his, Frank Fluitt.
Mr. Fluitt, I don't know what to tell you. Clarence seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, I'll bet he did. I'll just step inside.
But he isn't home.
Clarence? Come on down here. I'm wise to you. I want my money.
But Clarence is gone.
Where?
I told you I don't know.
Where's the money?
What money?
Where did he hide the money?
Oh, please.
Now, you're his wife. You're in on it with him.
I don't know about any money.
Look, I'm going to get my money.
Don't let go of me.
The money.
Oh, help! Help!
I guess I just lost my head. And the next thing I knew, some men came into the house and one of them knocked me out.
That's your story.
It's the truth.
Of course, there could be another story. You killed him, but he didn't have the money on him. So later on, you went back to the house to find it, and she surprised you.
Oh, please believe me, Sheriff. You gotta believe me.
He was a suspect, and a good one. But if he did kill Clarence McKibben, what did he do with the body? And how could he have done it without Mariah McKibben's knowledge? Unless they were both in on it. On the following day, July 8th, at 11:30 p.m., a woman asked to see me.
My name is Juanita Vale, Mrs. Edmund Vale.
Yes, ma'am?
I've been visiting relatives in the East, and I've come back to inquire why neither that McKibben strumpet nor my dearly beloved husband has been charged with murder.
Why should we charge them?
Oh, the McKibben slut and my dearly beloved husband have been committing adultery for the past 5 years.
That by itself doesn't prove that they conspired together to murder Clarence McKibben. We still have no proof.
Proof? All you need is to look at them while they're together. See the exchange of lascivious glances? Well, you can feel the depravity in the air.
I'm talking about legal proof, Mrs. Vale.
They had to kill him.
Why?
Because Clarence McKibben refused to give her a divorce.
I see. Thank you, Mrs. Vale.
In other words, I'm being dismissed.
No. You've been very helpful. And that was the truth. Because she had just brought everything into perspective. July 8th, 2:30 p.m. I questioned Mr. Edmund Vale again. Sir, according to the record, you say that at 10 minutes to 10 a.m., Mrs. McKibben knocked on your door.
Yes.
And you said she was hysterical.
She seemed to be.
She told you that her husband seemed to have disappeared under very mysterious circumstances.
Yes.
And you went back to the McKibben farm with her.
I did.
So then, at 10 of 10, she tells you her story. You listen. You decide to go back there with her. It's a short walk to the place. So you arrive at 8, or even 7 minutes before 10. Certainly before 5 of.
Yeah, that's true, I suppose.
Then what happened?
Well, I told you she was hysterical, and we just stood there. I wanted to go out into the field to look for Clarence.
And why didn't you?
Well, I was afraid to leave her.
Let's say you returned to the scene at 5 of 10. How long did you stand there?
Oh, it could have been 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. The two of you were alone?
Yes. And then we noticed Perry Allen coming down the road on his horse. We told him to telephone you. That must have been 10 o'clock. Well, a few minutes later, the Easterlys drove by, and the Andersons and Soames, and by this time a whole crowd had gathered.
Then that means we have 1/2 hour of critical time to consider. At 9:30, Will Cassidy saw Clarence and Mariah McKibben standing in the farmyard. At 10 o'clock, Perry Allen saw you and Mrs. McKibben standing in the farmyard, and Clarence McKibben was gone. So, what happened during that half hour?
Well, I can only account for the last 10 minutes of it.
Are you sure? Only you and Mariah McKibben, between you, know the full story of that half hour. The two of you, alone and separately, are the only witnesses we have for that time period. Well?
Yes.
Isn't it a fact that you and Mariah McKibben are in love with each other?
A fact?
Do you deny it?
I'm in love with her, yes.
And is she in love with you?
Yes.
And therefore, did the two of you decide to murder Clarence McKibben?
No.
But you admit you're in love?
Yes.
And wasn't Clarence McKibben in the way?
Sure, he was in the way, but we wouldn't kill him.
No. Dick, take the key to number 6 and bring that fellow Frank Fluid in here. And then harness the team. July 8th, 5 p.m. Deputies Rowbottom, Schmidt, myself, Edmund Vale, and Frank Fluitt drove out to the McKibben farmhouse. Now, Mrs. McKibben, you recognize this man here?
Well, he's the one who tried to do...
Don't worry about anything, Mrs. McKibben. You're perfectly safe. From him, anyhow. Mrs. McKibben, you claim last night was the first time you ever saw him.
Yes, sir. I do.
And you, Mr. Vale, did you ever see this man, Frank Fluitt, before?
No, never.
And you, Mr. Fluitt, when was the first time you met Mrs. McKibben and Mr. Vale here?
I saw Mrs. McKibben for the first time in my life last night and Mr. Vale today.
Here we have Mr. Vale and Mrs. McKibben. Each of you has a motive to murder Clarence McKibben, but neither of you can bring yourself to actually do it. But here comes Mr. Frank Fluitt. He's looking for Clarence McKibben.
You won't rope me into this.
Rope? Not a bad word. If you want to escape it, you'd better think about cooperating with us.
But I didn't do anything.
Mr. Fluitt wants his $5,000. He confronts Mr. McKibben. Clarence turns him down. You, Mrs. McKibben, probably witnessed the scene. You see a potential ally.
Sheriff!
So, you and Mr. Vale tell Mr. Fluitt that the way to get his money is to dispose of Mr. McKibben.
I never told anyone any such thing.
Finally, at 9:30, the morning of July 4th, the coast was clear. Mr. Clarence McKibben was harnessing his horse to the buckboard, and Mr. Fluitt surprised and killed him.
No, I didn't.
But there was a hitch. Either you, Mrs. McKibben, had decided to keep the money for yourself, or perhaps you couldn't find it. Maybe Mr. McKibben had hidden it too well. Therefore, you had to make some excuse to Mr. Fluitt. You told him he had to wait. That's why you came back a few nights later. Wasn't it, Mr. Fluitt? You weren't going to be swindled out of that $5,000 twice.
I didn't kill nobody.
I don't know anything about that $5,000.
Mariah McKibben, Edmund Vale, Frank Fluitt, you are under arrest for the murder of Clarence McKibben. And anything you say can be used against you.
You're under arrest for murder, and anything you say can be used against you. These may not be the saddest words of tongue or pen, but they're probably the most frightening. Sheriff Joseph T. Boland seems quite sure of himself. Do you think he has a case? Go ahead. You're qualified to voice an opinion. After all, you've been exposed to all the evidence there is. Well, we'll check it out in Act 3.
Every Christmas Eve when we were kids, we put a Whitman sampler by the fireplace for Santa. On Christmas morning, we'd run downstairs to see what chocolate Santa had eaten. Actual proof that he'd really been there. Well, it's become a family tradition. Now, my kids put a Whitman sampler by the fireplace every Christmas Eve. I think they're catching on to me, though, because Santa and I have the same taste in chocolates. Whitman's, a Christmas tradition for 137 Christmases.
800-528-1234.
This number assures you a friendly and convenient place to stay at any Best Western anywhere.
800-528-1234.
Call day or night for reservations at any Best Western Motor Inn, hotel, or resort.
800-528-1234.
Best Western, the world's largest lodging chain. You'll find the toll-free number in your yellow pages.
Sunbeam, quality you can count on. Polk Brothers, value you can count on. Just listen. At all Polk stores, the Sunbeam Le Chef food processor. It shreds, grates, chops, purees, mixes, even kneads bread dough thanks to its heavy-duty direct drive motor. Complete with all the blades, a 2.5-quart dishwasher-safe container, fingertip pulse control. A complete Sunbeam food processor, only $89 at Polk Brothers. Brand name Sunbeam, a proud Chicagoland company. Not an off-brand or catalog item. Sunbeam even has 6 factory service centers for you. See Sunbeam at Polk Brothers. Then when you buy it, your choice of 2 great Polk exclusive extras. A free $24.95 2-volume hardcover edition of Sylvia Porter's new money book for the 80s, or for just $10, you can choose a genuine $49.95 Toro Weeder Edger trimmer for your lawn. A Sunbeam food processor with your choice of exclusive Polk extras. Only at Polk Brothers. Every night till 10, on Sundays until 6.
You're paying more for your car insurance than you can handle. Remember, comparison shopping pays off. Arco American has been doing just that for thousands of Chicagoland motorists. Arco American has the time and the knowledge to shop for you, too. Every day, qualified buyers receive fantastic savings. As a matter of fact, the February 1979 issue of Family Circle magazine points out dramatically in their feature article on deflating your car insurance costs that there may be as much as 30% or more difference in costs for identical auto insurance policies. You definitely save if you shop. They repeat, Arco American has the time and the knowledge to shop for you. Do this. Call ES9 4677 first thing this morning for your free phone quotation. The savings could add up to hundreds of dollars for you. That number again is ES9 4677. Insurance plans are available with a low down payment and easy monthly installments. Shop and save money with Arco American. First thing this morning, call ES9 4677.
When you're puzzled by the actions or the motivations of human beings, remember, you can usually solve the problem by looking at it from the perspective of either love or money, or both. The desire for love, the lust for money, can account for anything and everything. But does either one explain what happened to Clarence McKibben on the morning of July 4th, 1899? Sheriff Joseph T. Bolin is convinced of it.
July 8th, 7 p.m. I have just booked Mariah McKibben, Edmund Vale, and Frank Fluitt for the murder of Clarence McKibben. I thought the Commonwealth attorney would buy me a cigar. Turns out he's not very happy about it.
I don't think we have a case, Sheriff. I need a body. I need Clarence McKibben's dead body. I need the corpus delicti.
I'll find it.
Yes, well, you haven't found it so far.
Well, it has to exist.
Does it?
We are rational human beings. A man just doesn't dematerialize.
Well, then why haven't you found him?
Because the two of them, or the three of them, were able to hide the body.
Well, what makes you think you can never find it?
Because they simply can't hide it where it can't be found, if we search diligently enough. Understand, they only had a half hour in which to kill him and dispose of his body. Now, you can kill a man in a split second, but you can't get rid of him without leaving a trace. Yeah. Bury him? Where? The earth always gives a clue.
Well, there are many ways of getting rid of a body, Sheriff.
Sure, but they all need time and a place in which to work.
We need that body.
We'll find it.
How?
Let's consider the farmyard. 9:30, the morning of July 4th. Mariah and Clarence ready to leave for town. They are seen by Perry Allen. Perry Allen leaves. Now is the moment. So Mariah kills him. Or Edmund Vale kills him. Or Frank Fluitt kills him.
How?
What's the difference? Hit him over the head, stab him. Maybe she poisoned him at the breakfast table. But he's dead. Now, what do they do with the body? They have to take it somewhere. Carry it somewhere. Physically dispose of it somewhere. We really haven't subjected the place to the search it deserves. We've got to tear up the cellars of both the McKibben and the Vale houses. And then we have to check every foot of ground within a radius of about 5 miles.
All right, Sheriff, all right. But remember, if you want to get a conviction, you have to get me the body.
July 9th, 11:30 a.m. I have just unleashed, I guess that's the word, the most intensive search in the history of the county. Within a 5-mile radius of the McKibben household, not so much as a single blade of grass remains unturned. And there is absolutely no sign of anything at all. No sign of a body, or any part of a body, or of any activity that might be involved in disposing of a body. Is it possible that Clarence McKibben did indeed simply vanish into the air? I refuse to believe it. And yet, after 3 solid, intensive days, what can I believe? Then, I received some information from the War Department. It helps me see the case more clearly. July 12, 8 a.m. I talked to Frank Fluitt in his cell.
I keep telling you, Sheriff, I had nothing to do with any murder.
I'll make a deal with you.
Yeah?
You're the one who's really stuck. Even if we can't make the murder charges stand up against the 3 of you, we still have you for attempted rape.
But I wasn't trying to do anything like that.
The charge is open and shut. There were witnesses.
But what's the use? Who's going to believe me?
Nobody. Especially with your record.
What do you mean, my record?
You did a few years for assault and robbery in 1889.
I was framed.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, well, right. I was a stupid kid. I didn't know anything.
In the past 10 years, you didn't learn anything either. You have a dishonorable discharge from the Army.
Who told you that? Oh, all right. Sheriff, you got to give me a break.
Tell us how McKibben was murdered.
I don't know how he was murdered.
I can only tell you that you have to give if you want to get.
But I don't know how.
Where did you hide the body?
I don't know. Look, I don't know because I wasn't in on it. I mean, not in on that part of it.
Oh, go ahead. Don't stop now.
Well, they said to me, we'll get you your $5,000 back, provided you help us. Help you do what? I asked. Help us kill him. So that's what I did. I helped him. Clarence was getting a horse harnessed. And this Edmund Vale came up and said hello, and then Vale hit him with a hammer. But not hard enough. This McKibben, he was pretty strong. And Vale yelled to me to help him,
And did you?
Well, I said to McKibben, I'll save you from these 2 if you hand me my money. And he swore he didn't have it, that he'd given it to his wife. And she yelled that he was lying. Well, I had to believe one of them. So I decided to believe her. And I helped them kill him. It didn't take more than a minute.
Then what happened?
Well, they said to me, you better go inside and hide in the house. We'll take care of the body.
And you did it?
Yeah. I didn't want to know anything about the rest of it.
You can't tell me what they did with the body?
No, Sheriff, I can't.
But you are prepared to testify that you and Edmund Vale murdered Clarence McKibben and that Mariah McKibben was a conspirator to that homicide?
Yes, sir.
They'll throw it out of course.
What?
And they should. Now, what have you got anyhow, huh?
I've got the sworn statement of one of the perpetrators.
You have got the most obvious piece of perjury I've heard in 20 years at the bar.
Why is it perjured?
Because he's clearly making a deal for himself.
Prisoners make deals all the time.
Oh, but nothing as blatant as this one. Oh, no, you can't get away with it.
What do you mean I can't get away with it? Why are you making it something personal?
Now, from the very beginning, you were out to hang Mariah McKibben for this. Now, why? What is this, vendetta?
She's lying. Can't you see it?
I can't take it into court.
Why not?
How many times do we have to go through this? There is no body, no corpus delicti. Now, I am not going into that courtroom to make a fool of myself.
Oh. So, now we get down to the meat of it. You're afraid you'll lose the case.
Oh, that isn't true.
You're thinking about your record, your reputation. Sure. You'll want to run for governor next year.
That has nothing to do with it.
Oh, this case has attracted publicity from all over the country. It'll be covered by the national newspapers, and you can't afford to be the loser. All right. If that's how things are done around here, you can have my job. Here's my star. I quit. July 12th, 11 a.m. This is the last notation I intend to make in the case of Clarence McKibben. I am no longer sheriff of this county. I am convinced that Mariah McKibben, Edmund Vale, and Frank Fluitt are guilty. But I am the only one. I am keeping a copy of this report for my personal records.
Morning, Sheriff. May I come in?
Good morning, Mr. Tattersall. I'm cleaning out my desk and things. I agreed to stay to the end of the month.
Yeah, I've never seen Main Street so crowded. Both hotels jam-packed. Can't get a room anywhere for miles around. Restaurants, why, it must be like it is up in the Klondike where they struck gold.
What's on your mind, Mr. Tattersall?
Reconsider your resignation.
Why?
Because you're a good sheriff. The best we've ever had.
I'm being blocked. Deliberately.
Their case should probably get thrown out of court.
They're obviously guilty. But nothing is ever 100% certain. You have to go to trial with what you believe in.
Let's go back to the crowds all over town. Do you realize what McKibben's disappearance is doing for business?
I can imagine.
How did he disappear?
They hid the body.
What can be hidden can also be found. Why haven't you found it? Maybe they didn't hide it. Maybe they didn't kill him. You know, right around the McKibben farm was the medicine ground of the old Chippewa tribe. Now, there are those who believe that the spirits of the ancient Chippewa medicine men spirited him away.
That's nonsense.
Well, I think it's dangerous to characterize other people's beliefs as nonsense. There are scientists, physical scientists, who believe that another world coexists with ours, and that if you step into an opening between them, you can be swept away.
Do you believe in this?
You're going to say nonsense, aren't you? Well, at any rate, all sorts of people have come here to see the spot. They will continue to do so.
And that will be good for business.
It's a bonus.
On the other hand, if Mariah McKibben and her two accomplices are found guilty of murder, that removes the mystery, and we go back to being a sleepy village. Which is why we don't want a trial.
Well, now, you are free to hold that opinion, Sheriff.
I say they murdered him.
What did they do with the body?
I don't know.
Then isn't that also as mysterious as any of the other interpretations? One way or another, he simply vanished into thin air. Sheriff, we don't want to lose a man like you.
Mr. Tattersall, I want your word, and the word of honor of every leading citizen in this town, that if I ever find that body, we go to court, regardless of how it will affect business.
If you can find that body, Sheriff, we'll have no choice.
I'm going to find the body of Clarence McKibben. I'll keep looking till the day I die.
And he did. Sheriff Joseph T. Boland died in 1925, and he hadn't found it. No one ever found it. The other principals? Frank Fluitt served several years for assault, and disappeared from view. In 1904, Juanita Vale died, and everyone thought Maria and Edmund Vale would get married. But Maria married James Tattersall, the banker. It was a very long time ago, and all of them are dead and forgotten. But I won't forget you. I'll be back in just a few minutes.
Fellow Americans, if you're still shopping here and there and everywhere for shoes, hold it right where you are. Put your feet together, stop running around. Just step around to Kinney and you'll cover the ground. Anywhere you want to go, head your feet in our direction. Kinney's got it all and more. Wow, what a store! What a great American shoe store!
Saturday, it's NFL action with Bart Starr's Green Bay Packers taking on the Detroit Lions. Followed on Sunday by doubleheader action, kicking off with regional contests, pitting Minnesota against New England, San Francisco taking on Atlanta, and St. Louis and Chicago. Followed by the doubleheader games with New Orleans tackling Los Angeles, Philadelphia going against Houston, and Washington at Dallas. Consult your local listings for games and times in your area. Don't forget, all the action begins with the NFL today. You'll say you saw it on CBS TV Sports.
You know, when one particular Christmas gift stays around for 137 Christmases, there have to be some very good reasons. And the Whitman sampler is full of them. 48 tempting chocolates and confections, like vanilla nut caramel, mint royale, mocha cream, something delicious for everyone. Whitman's knows what America loves at Christmas. That's why it's the gift America's been giving for 137 Christmases.
When I started working at this bakery, my boss sounded like this.
Raymond, you're eating all the profits.
So one day I started bringing coffee to work, Maxwell House coffee. And just to be sociable, I offered him a cup.
Raymond, this coffee is delicious.
Then he made me a deal. He said,
Raymond, you supply the coffee, I'll supply the cake.
Maxwell House's coffee that makes good friends. Good to the last drop, Maxwell House.
Either way, it's a mystery. If they killed him, how did they dispose of the body? If they didn't, who or what made him disappear? Given the time, the place, the opportunity, there is absolutely no way they could have gotten rid of him without a trace. Unless they knew some secret method, which seems impossible. On the other hand, the only other answer seems impossible too. But that's life, isn't it? Aren't we always being challenged to choose from among the impossible, the imponderable, and the unthinkable? Our cast included Fred Gwynne, Bryna Rayburn, Earl Hammond, and Ray Owens. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. A story begins with an idea. It may be suggested by the imagination, or by an incident, or by a fact. And behind the idea, there is a thought. All of us have heard that the pen is mightier than the sword. A piece of writing can change the course of history by sending men into battle. The Declaration of Independence, for example. It is a piece of writing that strangely preoccupies George Monroe while at breakfast with his mother.
Who, Mother?
Butler. Silas Butler. I asked you if he isn't one of your correspondence school students. A promising writer, you said.
Yes, he is.
Well, his wife is dead from carbon monoxide poisoning. Here's the article in the morning paper.
How very odd. She's dead.
Our mystery drama, Your Grade is A, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Roy Windsor and stars Bob Caliban and Joan Shea. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Contac, the 12-hour cold capsule. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
At the Opel Isuzu Information Center of America, pandemonium reigns as thousands of people try to find out what one is.
Hello, Opel Isuzu Information Center.
Say, I think I've got an Opel Isuzu.
Good for you, sir. Can you describe it?
Well, it's about 4 feet high, brown, tan hair on its neck. It's got cute little eyes.
Sir, I believe that's a Shetland pony.
Oh, yeah! I can see that now.
See the little hoofs?
Opel Isuzu, a great new little car at your Buick Opel dealers.
I've got bronchial asthma. I've also got a newspaper to get out. That's why I take Broncaid tablets. They help keep my occasional asthma attacks away for hours. I tried Primatene tablets and they worked, but then I heard about Broncaid. Broncaid has an extra ingredient to help you get rid of congestion. Broncaid works for hours, so I can work for hours.
Broncaid tablets do more to let you breathe easier. Use only as directed.
If you suspect your garden's been bugged, come to your True Value hardware store. They offer the most effective debugging devices available, Hudson and Service sprayers. First, the Hudson cordless electric sprayer with battery charger. Just give the sprayer's battery an overnight charge. It'll spray more than 45 minutes. Next, fill the tank with insecticide or other chemicals and adjust the nozzle for the spray pattern you need, fine, coarse, long range, or undersides of leaves, and then spray. Hudson cordless electric sprayers start at just $17.88. True Value hardware stores also offer Service 1.5 or 3-gallon tank sprayers with spray nozzles that adjust from coarse to fine, and 12-inch extension cords for extra reach. Prices start at just $12.44. Get these effective debugging devices at participating True Value hardware stores. True Value, more than just a name, it's their way of doing business.
There are many good correspondence schools with conscientious instructors to match. The student completes assignments and mails them in for criticism and encouragement. Silas Butler, who is 48, is one of many students whose writing efforts are carefully scrutinized by a young instructor named George Monroe. He does not know Butler personally, so the news of Mrs. Butler's death is to him only odd. But to her close friend, Judith Palmer, it is tragic and bitter.
Well, Kent?
Now, don't take that tone, dear. You'll have to pay Silas your respects. He's dazed by her death.
Well, he won't be for long.
That's unkind. Now, Silas knows how you feel about him. Let bygones be bygones. He's lost his wife.
He lost her a long time ago. I refuse to believe she took her own life. Oh, she had reason to wish to be dead, but Molly never would have done a thing like that. Locking herself in the garage and starting up the car.
All right, if it makes you feel any better, say it was an accident. Now, it's 11 o'clock. I must get to work.
What did you and Silas talk about from 8 until now?
Not very much. I tried to console him, but, well, there isn't much to say in the face of a death.
Oh, poor Molly. Oh, it's so unreal.
Believe me, it is to him, too, and to me.
If the two of you hadn't been so buried in that chess game...
No. Our game had nothing to do with what happened.
Except to leave Molly with an empty evening. Where was she going, Kent? Did she say?
No. Silas and I were in the library. From the door, she said she was going for a ride, and she said good night to both of us.
When was that?
Oh, it's about 8 or so. At 9:30, Silas walked me to the driveway, and he noticed that his garage door was closed. It's a detached garage, as you know, 100 feet down the driveway. He seemed concerned. He asked me to walk with him to the garage.
And you found Molly on the cement floor?
Yes, after Cy shut off the car engine and we let the carbon monoxide escape.
Oh.
It was a thick haze. And then we went in and dragged Molly into the fresh air.
If you dragged her out right away...
It wouldn't have done any good. Carbon monoxide can poison a person in less than 2 minutes. If the person who's trapped can't break a window or open a door, in 6 or 7 minutes, he or she is dead.
You know that for a fact?
Yes. I checked my medical dictionary late last night. As Silas's attorney, I had to inform myself on the subject.
Molly was smart enough to know about carbon monoxide. Why couldn't she have escaped?
Oh, because she didn't want to.
Oh.
You cling to your belief that it was an accident. Go ahead.
I have to, darling. I knew Molly.
Then why was the garage door shut? Why didn't she open the door?
Well, garage doors can stick. Ours does sometimes. That lock that goes into the cement floor often won't budge. Oh, I've scuffed my shoe many times trying to release it. Something like that may have happened.
Then Molly would have tried to break a window.
But they're up high and small. Is there a regular door, a house door on the side of that garage like ours? You know, the one that opens into the storage space for garden supplies?
Well, I think there is, but we didn't check. We got Molly out, and Silas ran into the house to telephone their doctor. And after that, it was pretty hectic. The doctor, the police, an ambulance. It was quite awful. Zach was very kind to Silas.
Oh, I'd forgotten Zach was the police officer in charge. What does Zach think?
I don't know. It seemed obvious to all of us.
Well, it's not to me.
Oh, Judith, you can't deny the facts.
Yes, I can. Because what happened just wasn't in Molly Butler's character.
Please come in, Mrs. Palmer?
Yes, Mrs. Kent Palmer.
Yes, let me close the door. It can be noisy around here.
Yes.
Please sit down.
Thank you. I'll come right to the point, Mr. Monroe. Silas Butler is a student of this correspondence school.
Yes, he is, but...
Well, I don't expect that you'd know him personally.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The instructors never have a personal relationship with a student.
Well, Molly Butler was my best friend.
Oh. My mother read about her in this morning's newspaper. We were sorry to learn that she committed suicide.
I don't think she did.
Oh?
And that's why I wanted a confidential talk with you.
Well, I don't know, Mr. Butler. I know he was married. That's on his biography, but that's all I know. But how does our school... I really have no idea what you're driving at.
I visited Mr. Butler late this morning to pay my respects. He asked me to go through his wife's personal things, clothes and so on, and to dispose of them as I saw fit.
Yes.
Well, among Molly Butler's effects was a diary. I glanced through it. Wasn't Mr. Butler writing a murder mystery story as one of his assignments?
I'd have to check over my file of critiques. May I ask why you're interested in Mr. Butler as a writer?
Well, I know that he was working on a murder mystery story. Molly Butler refers to it in her diary.
For heaven's sakes. Why?
Because the characters in the story and the story outline are taken straight from life.
Well, that's true of much of what is written. We encourage students to write about what they know from real experience.
I understand that, and it makes sense.
Well, then?
Molly had read her husband's story. It wasn't completed, And that's what had her frightened.
I really don't follow you, Mrs. Palmer.
Well, Mr. Butler's story about an ordinary, ambitious young man who marries a socially prominent girl. They have a son. The couple is happy together, and the mother thinks that the sun rises and sets on her son. And then he's killed.
And that poisons the marriage.
How did you know?
Well, I assume that it did. After all, I am an instructor in writing. Unless one of the parents was to blame for the son's death, there wouldn't be any conflict, hence no story. How did the son die?
In an automobile accident. His father is driving him home from prep school, driving too fast, and carelessly the boy is killed. The father is injured, but recovers.
And the mother blames the father.
That's right. And that ended the relationship.
I see. The story you're telling me isn't a story at all, is that it?
That's it. It is the story of Silas and Molly Butler. And now Molly's dead. You're mentioned several times in Molly's diary, Mr. Monroe.
In what context?
Well, Mr. Butler had great respect for your encouragement and ideas. Had you exchanged thoughts about how the story ought to end?
I think so. This is very odd, Mrs. Palmer. I've never had an experience like this before.
Neither did Molly Butler. You see what I'm suggesting, Mr. Monroe?
It's too fantastic to believe.
Maybe, but I wish you'd think it over. I'm going to present it to my brother, Captain Zachary of the police department, to hear what he has to say.
Because you're not satisfied with how Mrs. Butler died?
No, I'm not. She was a very close friend. She's dead now. I owe it to her to find out how she died.
Thank you for seeing me, Captain Zachary.
Glad to. Come in, come in.
Thank you.
Sit down. My sister's already been here.
Well, what do you think, Captain?
Well, she's got a lively imagination, Mr. Monroe.
Then you don't think there's anything to it?
To what? You know, she never came out and said what she thinks. Of course, I didn't give her much of a chance. I was at Butler's house when the ambulance took his wife away, so my knowledge is firsthand.
And you think it was suicide?
Well, that or accidental death. I'd say the latter. Silas Butler would prefer that. Mrs. Butler was stretched out on the garage floor.
Which means she got out of the car to reopen the garage door. Why had it closed? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it could have blown shut.
But all garage doors can be unlatched from the inside.
I know that, I know. I don't believe the door blew shut or that she tried to get out. Mrs. Butler, as you know from what my sisters told you, was an unhappy lady.
So the verdict is suicide.
Except for the fact that we found her on the floor. The explanation for that is that she closed the garage door, started the car in the dark, changed her mind, thought of escaping, then changed her mind again, and she took her life.
Well, did Mrs. Palmer tell you what she'd read in Mrs. Butler's diary?
Oh, I've glanced through it.
She was afraid of the parallel between her life and his murder story.
Well, if he's a writer, he'd spill out some of his own life in what he writes. Isn't that how writers work?
Well, sure, but what's funny is how Mr. Butler struggled to find the right ending for his murder mystery. It's all here, Captain.
What's that?
My critique of his work. Mr. Butler and I exchanged a lot of thoughts about how to end his story.
Would you explain that, please?
Well, everyone who reads knows the old devices employed in ending a murder mystery. Mm-hmm. The butler did it, or the poison pill taken by mistake, mushroom soup, or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All known and stale. Now, I'm referring to premeditated murder.
I understand. And your critiques?
Well, Mr. Butler thought that a suggestion of mine about using carbon monoxide had merit.
I see. And, you're feeling guilt because you made the suggestion.
I don't know how I feel, but it certainly is odd that carbon monoxide is what caused the death. Well, that's the poison he decided to use, and I suggested it.
Well, did he indicate how he planned to use it?
No, I didn't either.
Yeah, it's a deadly poison, of course, and people are careless about it. You know, we have accidental deaths all the time because a person starts up his car with the garage doors closed or only partly open. You know, that gas works fast. I don't see anything sinister in Mrs. Butler's death.
I'm glad you don't. It makes me feel better.
You know, my sister seems to think that Mrs. Butler's death wasn't suicide or accidental death. You know what's left.
Yes.
And that's a very serious implication.
I know it. And I hope she's wrong.
Look, leave your critique, huh? I'll see if I can make a matchup between your suggestions and what happened. But I don't like it. I know Silas Butler. I don't think he'd commit murder.
Good heavens, George. You seriously think that Mr. Butler used you to help him plan a murder?
Well, I know it sounds weird.
Oh, it's unbelievable. He'd have to be mad.
We don't know what really happened, but Captain Zachary is going to investigate again.
Well, what's there to investigate?
Well, little details.
Such as what?
Well, I don't know. For instance, why was the garage door closed?
Well, because the poor woman trapped herself and was dead before she could get it open.
But that doesn't make sense. A person doesn't go into a garage to get a car and close the garage door before the car is backed out.
Well, not unless the person wants to take his own life. And it's obvious. That's why the report was suicide.
But Mrs. Butler was found on the garage floor.
Well, you're just looking to make a mystery out of a simple tragedy, George.
Yeah, maybe.
Of course you are. Mrs. Butler went into the garage, purposely closed the garage door, and started up her car. How else could the garage door have been closed? Oh, will you and Mrs. Palmer next imagine that someone waved a magic wand and closed it?
We began with the power of the pen. Plato's Republic created Western civilization, and some of Leonardo's reflections led to the airplane. But murder by correspondence? Or are Mrs. Palmer and the writing instructor, George Monroe, imagining the idea when the evidence does not support it? We'll find out when I return with Act Two.
Tired of deodorant sprays that seem to miss their mark? Want something powerful you can put on in the dark? Shift to the English leather stick. The stick shift is on. English leather's got the stick that'll always protect you. With the English leather scent, they'll never forget you. Shift to the English leather stick. The stick shift is on. There are 3 good reasons to shift from an expensive deodorant spray to English leather deodorant stick. 1. English leather goes right where you want it, so there's no waste. 2. It's concentrated to give powerful protection.
But the best reason of all is right under your nose.
The famous fresh clean scent of English leather. English leather's got the stick that'll always protect you. With the English leather scent, they'll never forget you. Shift to the English leather stick. The stick shift is on. Look for the English leather deodorant stick at your favorite toiletries counter.
Hi, this is Andre Fisher with Rufus. Today, many high school graduates who want to go to college find they can't meet the high cost of higher education. If college money is a problem for you, then I'd like to talk to you for a moment about a plan that will not only pay your tuition, but also pay you a monthly allowance while you're in school. What's the plan? It's the Naval Reserve Officers Training Corps program. If you can qualify, NROTC will pay the cost of your college tuition plus $100 monthly cash allowance. And when you graduate, you'll join the finest of America's land, sea, and air team as a Navy ensign or a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps. It's never too early to plan for a future with an exciting career. And you can start today by talking to your high school counselor or local Navy recruiter about NROTC. Call the Navy toll-free 800-841-8000.
Open when you're busy and closed when you're not? Northwest Federal Savings knows that a good place to save is ready for you when you're ready. So Northwest Federal's open 63 hours a week. If you work evenings, you can come to Northwest Federal 6 full days. Working days? Northwest Federal's open Monday, Thursday, and Friday evenings. And if the only time you can get to Northwest Federal is 8 o'clock in the morning, well, that's okay too. Because Northwest Federal has early bird service every morning from 8 o'clock. There are 4 convenient Northwest Federal savings locations: Irving Park, 1 block west of Cicero, in Des Plaines on Dempster, just east of the Tri-State, at Harlem Irving in Norridge, and at Algonquin and Gulf in Arlington Heights. Come into Northwest Federal Savings on your way to, from, or between work, shopping, or home. anytime, because Northwest Federal Savings keeps the best hours yours.
It's Northwest Federal Savings Time, 63 hours a week.
Mr. Longfellow said once that what a writer asks of his reader is not so much to like as to listen. That applies here. Silas Butler wanted his correspondence school instructor, George Monroe, to listen to his ideas for a murder mystery story. George did, and supplied him with a device, the use of carbon monoxide as the poison. Then Mrs. Butler died from carbon monoxide poisoning. But her best friend, Judith Palmer, is not content with the explanation of suicide or accidental death. It is the evening of the day after the tragedy.
Judith, my dear, I know Silas Butler. He's both a client and a friend, and I can't conceive of him or anyone writing a story of premeditated murder and then acting on it in life. All right, what does the writing instructor say?
Well, he's puzzled because it was he who suggested carbon monoxide.
I see. Then if he's a writing expert, have him figure out how it was done. I don't think he can, because the police are satisfied that Molly's death was, well, because you prefer it, an accident.
Why do you say I prefer it, Kent?
You said so before. You can't imagine Molly taking her own life. Well, I can. She hasn't been a happy person since her son was killed.
By his father?
Oh, Judith, dear, please, don't say such a thing. Silas was speeding and he and the boy had a serious accident. It does happen, you know. Silas loved his son. And you simply must not say that he killed him. That's unfair.
Well, perhaps. But you know what their lives have been like since it happened. He was very depressed when I saw him around noon.
Yeah. Well, I told him I'd stop by later this evening to discuss the funeral and other details.
Oh, Kent, what will happen to him now?
I'll find out. He's all alone.
Yes, all alone. No accusing eye on him. Molly always looked at him that way.
Silas Butler is not a criminal.
Molly thought he was. Once.
Oh, Kent, come in.
How are you, Silas?
All right.
You alone?
Yes. Family arrives tomorrow. Molly's relatives. I've only got my mother. Let's sit down.
You sure you're all right?
Oh, yes. I'm still stunned. This will hit me later on, all its reality. Thanks for coming over. Judith stopped in about noon and took charge of Molly's things. I'm grateful to her.
She's grief-stricken. Do you feel up to talking?
Yes.
What about you, Sanderson?
I don't know. Sell the house, of course. I can't go on living here. Ever since that automobile accident, life's held nothing for me. Molly never recovered from the loss of our son. All that sustained her was her loathing for me. I'll always see her accusing eyes.
Oh, now, Silas, you'll forget that in time.
I hope so. It was an accident. I'm to blame for that, but do you think I wanted to have my son killed? I'd rather have died myself. I wish I had.
I know. Why last night?
Pardon?
Why did Molly choose last night to leave the house and have this accident?
I can't answer that. She'd been going into long periods of depression. I don't know why she went out. She often did that at night.
Just to escape?
Yes. She didn't want to be with me.
Well, did she object to our chess game?
I don't see why she should have. Playing chess is a better way to spend an evening than most other ways. You thrashed me last night.
Moving your knight to Queen Bishop 3 was a mistake, you know.
Yes, I guess it was.
No, you didn't think so at the time. You got up and walked over to the library window.
I did? I forgot.
Yes, you did. I wondered at the time why you left the chessboard, and I asked you. Don't you remember what you said?
I can't say that I do.
Well, you said it was checkmate and that the game was over. Even though I had a rook bearing down on your knight. Still, you moseyed over to the window with an air as if you'd won the game. You do remember that, of course.
Sort of, yes.
Yeah, and then you looked out the window. Huh.
What's that mean, Kent?
Well, that was only a minute after Molly left the house. Isn't that right?
Yes, I think it is. Why?
Well, the library windows command a clear view of the garage at the end of your driveway.
Yes.
Was the garage door open?
I don't think it was. If I thought anything, I'd have figured that Molly had already left. Why?
Well, we should have investigated.
How could we have anticipated any trouble? I've never given much thought to whether or not the garage door was up or down. Why should I have? Do you?
No. Well, you got a point. Mine is that by the time I checkmated you, Molly was in the garage, dead.
That means, Kent, you've got your doubts, too.
It means no such thing, Judith. I just tried to reconstruct the scene, that's all.
All right. Silas got up from a chess game he was about to lose and walked over to the window. Now, that doesn't make sense. That's not the way chess players behave, is it? Of course it isn't. Si went to that window in order to get a view of the garage. Now, darling, is there anything else you remember?
No. Your imagination is beginning to run away again, Judith. I suggest that we leave any further investigation to Zach and his police department, huh?
Well, I hope we've aroused his suspicions.
We? You and who else?
George Monroe. Zach telephoned me while you were out. Mr. Monroe called on him and gave him the critiques of Silas's writing. Zach thought they were interesting. He thought Silas had written a pretty good mystery story.
Well?
And Mr. Monroe thought that Molly's death ought to be reinvestigated.
Oh, no. Molly hasn't even been buried, and you and Monroe want to subject Si to more suffering? I don't like that at all. I really don't. I didn't visit Si tonight with doubts in my mind.
Well, you asked him why he went to the window.
No, I only mentioned that he had gotten up from the chess game and gone to the window, that's all.
Why? That was odd, wasn't it?
I wouldn't say that. Si is a harried man. Chess gets his mind off his unhappiness. I simply wondered why it was last night of all nights that Molly chose to have an accident.
Well, maybe Si had just figured out how to commit the murder in his story.
I doubt that he would have shared such an idea with his wife.
Well, you never know. You ought to read Molly's diary.
I'm not going to. And frankly, I've had enough of this. You and Zach pursue it. I'm really tired of it. So if you'll excuse me, I think I'll turn in.
All right. Oh, is our car in the garage or in the driveway?
I left it out. Why?
Well, if he's still awake, I may drive over and talk with George Monroe. Oh, Mr. Monroe, I know it's late.
Well, that's all right, Mrs. Palmer. It's not that late. It's only 10:30. Oh, I'm never in bed before midnight. Please sit down.
Oh, thank you. I understand you saw my brother, Captain Zachary. You know, he was impressed, both by Mr. Butler's writing and by your critiques.
Well, thank you. From what I had criticized about Mr. Butler's story, I could easily reconstruct it. The story does parallel his life with Mrs. Butler.
Yes.
Now, I paid special attention to his struggle, with my help, to find a way of using carbon monoxide as a poison without the police being able to detect it.
Did you reach any conclusion?
No. And yes. No about the device, the novel idea of killing with a gas, but yes about your suspicions.
Oh?
In Mr. Butler's story, the man becomes bitter and abusive because the wife withdraws from him and silently accuses him of the death of the son.
Yes, exactly what happened between Si and Molly Butler.
Well, furthermore, there were introspective passages in which the man dreamed of being free from the wife's accusing eye.
Oh.
That's when he began to think about murder. The wife sensed it, but she couldn't do anything about it. It was as if she were mesmerized.
Well, it fits, doesn't it?
It seems so. What strikes me is the psychology of the thing. Was he guilty of the boy's death?
Through negligence. It wasn't deliberate.
And Mrs. Butler never overcame her loss?
No.
Well, as you said, it fits.
But how do we prove it?
Well, Captain Zachary is reinvestigating.
Oh, it needs more than police investigation. It requires some kind of creative inspiration.
How it was done.
That's right. How could it have been done? Cy Butler and my husband were playing chess in the Butler's library. Toward the conclusion of their first game, when my husband had him on the defensive, Mr. Butler rose and walked to the window.
Did he? And he thought he was losing the game?
That seemed odd to me, and I mentioned it to my husband.
What did Mr. Butler do at the window?
I don't know. Looked out. It commands a clear view of the detached garage. But now, what could he have done from the library window that would have had any connection with Molly's death?
Darned if I can imagine.
Oh, I wish you'd try, Mr. Monroe. You're a creative man.
Well, I know, but Butler and I both struggled to invent a gimmick for killing a person with carbon monoxide poison without being detected. We hadn't succeeded.
Well, he may have.
Yes. I wonder what it could be. Assuming we're not crazy. It's a puzzler.
Oh. What are you thinking about? You've got an abstracted expression on your face.
Something Mother said earlier this evening.
Oh?
Now, what was it? I'd explained your interest in this fantastic notion. Mother agreed that if Mrs. Butler didn't commit suicide, then her death must have been accidental because she couldn't get out of the garage.
Yes, go on.
But the idea of murder was nonsense. She wondered... Yes, here's what she wondered. She said, you and Mrs. Palmer next imagined that someone waved a magic wand and closed it. Meaning, of course, the garage door.
Waved a magic wand?
It's stuck in my head, and I've given it some thought.
Oh, Mr. Butler did go to the window soon after Molly left the house.
But what kind of magic wand could he have waved?
Think about it. Think about it, Mr. Monroe. I will, too. What your mother said might be the very clue we're searching for.
Judith Palmer has known Silas Butler for many years, and she knows him as a rather insolent man. We don't know that. With his friend, Kent Palmer, he seemed to be like any man suffering from a grievous loss. But according to what he has written, and from what we have learned from his wife's diary, Mr. Butler might be capable of committing a major crime. How is the question? I'll return shortly with Act 3.
The following is a test. Please answer all questions truthfully.
Question 1. Which of these do you like most? Rowboat, dentist, Opal Isuzu?
Question 2. If you and 3 friends wanted to take a nice trip, would you take turns carrying each other, take turns throwing each other, or buy an Opal Isuzu?
Question 3. Given a choice, would you attend a lecture on good posture, hurt your foot, or buy an Opal Isuzu?
If you answered Opal Isuzu to all 3, see your Buick Opal dealer and take a test drive. Otherwise, see someone else.
Of all times to get hemorrhoids, why?
Pregnancy is a major cause.
What helps?
Well, since you're expecting, ask your doctor before using any medication.
My sister used Preparation H.
For many women, Preparation H relieves occasional pain and itch for hours.
Sounds good.
Preparation H does more. Actually helps shrink swelling of hemorrhoidal tissue caused by inflammation.
Even better.
Preparation H helps shrink swelling of hemorrhoidal tissues.
Use only as directed.
For over 19 years, Arco American has been telling it like it is. More often than not, you may have paid far too much for quality auto insurance. A survey published in the Chicago Tribune dramatically substantiates this claim by Arco American. The article states that you could save up to 75% in auto insurance premiums if you shop for them. Arco American has the time and knowledge to do that, and they're good at it. They're professionals with expertise to offer fantastic savings to the qualified buyer. Call ES9 4677 for your phone quotation. There's no obligation, and the savings could amount to hundreds of dollars for you. Remember the number, ES9 4677. At Arco American, all insurance plans are available with a low down payment and easy monthly installments. Arco, that's AARCO American, is open weekdays till 8 p.m. Let Arco American save you money on your insurance needs. Call ES 94677.
You drive me crazy, and I wish you were dead, are two commonplace expressions that a wildly angry person has been known to use. They're not meant to be taken literally. They sum up a condition that is unbearable and a wish to be realized. Apologies usually follow. Both sentences, however, seem to apply to Silas Butler. His wife's silent accusation was driving him mad, and he may have wished her dead. It's the next morning. George Monroe again is seated opposite Captain Zachary of the police department.
Good morning, Captain.
Good morning. My sister telephoned that she'd seen you again.
Yes, were my critiques helpful?
Yeah, very. You know, Butler writes well. That's a sad story he tells.
You can understand from the character in the story that he would commit murder.
Yeah, well, maybe. You know, you never know about a murder. Most murders just occur. Person loses his temper, goes crazy, but a premeditated murder, well, that's pretty rare.
Well, I agree. As a writer, it comes down to motive. In his story, Mr. Butler's character does have motive.
Yeah.
May I make a couple of suggestions?
Sure, go ahead.
But talk to Mr. Kent and to Mr. Butler and ask them to recall everything they can about their chess game.
You mean about Butler walking to the library window? My sister mentioned that. Anything else?
But take another look at the diary. There may be a clue there.
Why? You think she may have anticipated her death?
She might have.
Anything else?
Well, it's this foolish idea I have because my mother said something about waving a magic wand.
Uh-huh.
There could be something to it.
Yeah, sure. If we can find the magic wand. Any ideas?
Offhand, no, but would it be improper of you to ask Mr. Butler if he'd had any repairs made recently to his house?
Such as what?
I don't know, but if I wanted to trap someone in a garage with an engine running, I might dream up some gadget that would close the garage.
I see. Well, you know, a lot of homes have posts by their driveways. You stop your car, push a button, the garage door opens or closes.
Yes, that's the kind of thing I mean.
And if the garage has a button which does the same thing, it opens or closes the garage.
Do you know if the Butlers had that kind of device?
Yeah, but I'll find out when I examine the garage. That's a good suggestion, Mr. Monroe. That is, if we're going to pursue the murder idea.
Well, don't you see any validity to it?
It's possible, but don't be disappointed if our original verdict holds. Mrs. Butler killed herself, or she died accidentally.
Oh, Zach. Come on in.
No, let's stay out here, huh? Well, how are you, Si?
Still dazed, but having the family around helps. Molly's relatives arrived an hour ago.
When's the funeral?
Tomorrow at 11. Anything special you wanted to see me about, Zach?
No. Just wanted to ask if I could look around the property.
Of course. The garage?
Yeah, I'd like to, look it over. You don't mind?
No, feel free. It's closed. Punch the button on the side of the door, on the upright.
Oh, you've got one of those, huh? An electrically operated door.
Yes, very, very convenient. Well, what's your interest, Zach?
Oh, just satisfying myself. My sister was Molly's best friend.
And she can't believe what happened. Neither can I. Any of us. You've given your verdict, Zach. I don't understand why
you... Assuming that Molly did not commit suicide...
I don't want to believe that either. I prefer to believe it was an accident. She had gotten out of the car. We found her on the floor.
Yeah, well, what bothers me, Si, is why she couldn't have gotten out of the garage.
Carbon monoxide can poison in a minute and a half.
You know that for a fact?
Well, yes, I've done some research. For a story I've been writing, I take a correspondence course. It was something to do... No, that's true about the poison, In 6 minutes, a person is dead.
So There's Molly sitting behind the wheel of the car with the engine running and the garage door closed. See, what I can't explain is why she didn't shut off the motor and get out of the garage.
Well, neither can I. But what's even more strange is why she was at the wheel and the garage door was closed.
Yeah, that is mighty strange. Could the garage door have come down by itself?
I don't know. I suppose so. You know these gadgets. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Is there a switch inside the garage for raising or lowering the doors?
Well, sure, but what if it didn't work?
Any other way of getting out of the garage?
Well, there's a regular door on the side of the garage toward the back. We kept it locked against prowlers.
Okay, I'll look around again. I said the other night how sorry I was about Molly. I'm just as sorry for you.
But why in the world do you want to know the name of the butler's carpenter?
Or electrician, Judy. Either one.
Well, it may be mentioned in Molly's diary. You returned it to me. Let me look. Zach, you're being very mysterious.
Well, you want me to reinvestigate the death? Well, this is part of it. The garage is electrically controlled.
Of course, now I remember. It was modernized about 2 months ago. But what does that have to... Oh, here it is. Yes, Mr. Day did the work. Molly writes here that he'd installed an overhead door and... Yes, it works by electricity. Push a button and it operates. And there's another switch on a post at the entrance to the driveway. Or there was.
They had it removed.
Yes, it was an attractive nuisance. Children used to punch the button just for fun. The door was always going up and down. Mr. Day was the carpenter. Why, Zach? What's so intriguing about the butler's garage door?
Well, there's another way to open an electrically operated garage door. You don't have to punch a button.
Oh?
You can use a hand switch. You know, like that gadget for switching TV channels?
I didn't know that.
Butler left the chess table and walked over to the window.
Yes?
Which commanded a view of the garage.
Yes.
Where he could have seen Molly enter the garage. Don't jump to conclusions, Judy. I think we've got it, but I want to be sure. Now, when Silas returned to the chess table, did he have anything in his hand?
Kent didn't say. Oh, you mean he was carrying one of those remote control gadgets?
Exactly. I better talk with Kent.
I'll telephone.
No. Face to face. Silas is his friend, and this is a touchy subject. Silas and Monroe are trying to figure out how to commit murder with carbon monoxide. I think Silas came up with the answer.
Now, what's up, Zach?
Oh, more of the same, Kent.
Your suspicion that Cy Butler is a criminal, huh?
Yeah, he may be, Kent.
You seriously think that? Because of the story he wrote?
Well, if it hadn't been for the diary and the correspondence school critiques, he might have gotten away with it.
You mean he did do it? But how?
Well, I don't exactly know yet. Tell me, when Butler walked to the library window, he was in bad shape in the chess game, right?
Yes, I found it odd that he did.
Oh, now tell me about his walking back. Now, just try to think back, huh? Try to remember exactly what he did.
When he got up, he had a pawn in his hand. One of mine. He captured it with his knight. He kind of rolled it around his hand, and I wondered why he had left the table, so I glanced after him. He placed the pawn in his jacket pocket.
And when he returned to the table?
Well, nothing.
Or didn't he place the pawn behind the board?
Yes. After he sat down, I heard it.
You heard his pawn?
Well, I mean, it clinked in his pocket against his cigarette lighter.
A wooden pawn against a lighter?
No, a metal pawn. I didn't like Cy's chess set because it was made of metal alloy, and the pieces were quite dramatic, but I prefer the traditional wooden ones.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what did he do?
I told him not to squirrel away the pawn. And he said, he took it out.
With the lighter?
No. That's funny. When we set up for the next game, he asked me for a light.
Oh, then what he had in his pocket wasn't his lighter.
Well, come to think of it, no. That is funny. But I remember the clinking sound.
I think the carpenter or the electrician can tell me what it was he had in his pocket. I may need you later in the day, Kent.
All right. You've given me a bad turn, Zach.
Uh-huh. It's nothing compared to the one Silas gave Molly.
Now, what's this urgent business all about, Zach? Hello, Kent. And Judith.
Hello, son.
Close the door, would you, Kent?
And, who is this? George Monroe, Mr. Butler. I'm very sorry about what happened. Thank you. Well, Zach, now why did you ask me to come down to the police station?
Well, because what I'm about to say is better said here than in a house of mourning.
What is it you have to say?
You murdered Molly Butler.
I murdered my wife. Anything else?
Isn't that enough?
I suppose I have you to thank for this preposterous charade.
I'll take some of the credit. Give the rest to Molly's diary and to this young man here.
Monroe?
Yes, George Monroe. You wrote a murder mystery, didn't you? Or half wrote one, I should say. What you and Monroe hadn't figured out was just how a person could be killed from carbon monoxide poisoning without being caught. Isn't that true?
Go on. You seem to know that.
Monroe couldn't figure it out, but you could. The idea came to you after Mr. Day remodeled your garage. He installed overhead sliding doors which can be opened and closed by touching a switch.
Certainly. Where's the mystery?
Well, Day also supplied you with remote control switches. You hold the switch in your hand, press a button, and the door goes up or comes down. And that's how you close the garage door with Molly seated behind a running engine.
Oh, Zach, that's preposterous.
No, it isn't. Not for a rejected man.
You came to hate Molly.
Because she hated me.
And you murdered her. You closed the garage door.
She could have opened the door by pressing the button on the inside.
Not if you held down the close button and neutralized her switch. And that's what you did. Kent, how long was he at that window?
3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, more than enough time for Molly to become dazed, and then she panicked. And from the story you were writing, she knew you planned her murder, and there she was with you carrying out your plan. She was between the back of the car and the garage door praying that the switch would work. And it didn't, because you had neutralized it. And even then, she must have tried to turn off the car engine because we found her on the floor next to the front door.
Kent's my lawyer.
When you took the porn out of your jacket pocket, it clicked against something.
Yes, my lighter.
Then why didn't you use it to light your cigarette instead of borrowing a match from me?
Because you didn't have your lighter, Si. That pawn clicked against your remote control gadget. And let's not overlook the garage side door. You had locked it. And don't repeat that the door was never used. It was used all the time because it opened in on Molly's garden supplies.
Anything more?
Molly didn't have the remote control switch with her. Had you told her it had been mislaid?
You can't prove...
Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can, Si. Your own story. Your talks with Mr. Day about the use of the hand remote switch. And Molly's diary. We'll find both switches, and I imagine the key to the regular door. Si, you're under arrest for premeditated murder.
Perhaps you guessed just how Silas Butler almost got away with murder. But what a strange way for him to get caught. A piece of writing undid him. That and Mrs. Palmer's evaluation of the characters of Silas and his wife. And although Butler, in his way, was a tragic figure, murder is an intolerable offense. Confronted with the evidence against him, he made a full confession. I shall be back shortly.
If you're thinking of buying a home, but the cost keeps you thinking, you may find the current Family Circle magazine of considerable interest. It features a comfortable 3-bedroom house, which includes living room, family room, 2 baths, utility room, wall and floor covering, even drapes. And the price? Well, it ranges from $22,000 to $25,000, depending on where it's to be put up. The reason it's so reasonable is that it's built in a factory. Family Circle lists 50 locations across the country where this very attractive home can be inspected. Now, for those in need of a bit of body rebuilding, the issue offers Jack LaLanne's 9 best spot exercises. There's the fencer's lunge to firm thighs and hips, the chair push-up for arms, shoulders, and chest. A simple 20-minute per day program to keep us in shape. The September Family Circle, with that golden harvest casserole on the cover, is now at your supermarket checkout counter. This is Jack Sterling for Family Circle, the world's largest selling woman's magazine.
Give your hand to prayer. Give your heart to your love. But give your clothes to contact.
Here in my hand is a little capsule. It's tiny, yet it contains enough cold medicine to help relieve cold symptoms caused by every known virus. Every known virus. It's Contact. The same 12-hour Contact you can buy. This year, Contact with its tiny time pills will touch more lives, help more colds than any other cold medicine, tablet or liquid. Think about that the next time you're sick, sneezing, dripping, or clogged up. Then let us help you with real medicine, like Contact. We're number 1 in the whole world, for good reason.
Give your hand to prayer. Give your heart to your love. But give your clothes to contact.
It works all day, all night. Take only as directed.
We've come full circle with the quote about the pen being mightier than the sword. A correspondence student finally completed his murder mystery, which was his plan for a real-life murder. A diary, an imaginative young instructor, and careful police investigation combined to rob Silas Butler of his perfect murder and of his life. Our cast included Bob Caliban, Ralph Bell, Joan Shea, and Joe Silver. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Contact, the 12-hour cold capsule, and Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall, come to lead you, safely I hope, through another encounter with the sinister happenings in which we specialize. We become involved in circumstances not dealt with in the nice, conforming, normal world we're used to. We run afoul of things not considered quite natural in our workaday world, and we may find them just a little frightening. Are you up to it? Heart sound? Nerves steady? Well then, our mystery drama, M-U-R-D-E-R, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Field and Farrington and stars Larry Haynes and Ralph Bell. It is sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, Brewers of Budweiser, and True Value Hardware Stores. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
It only takes one glassful to know this beer. Budweiser is the king of beers. The crisp aroma of the choicest hops. And that famous snappy Budweiser taste that only the most careful brewing process and exclusive Beechwood aging can deliver. And deliver it does. A smoothness, a drinkability, and cold golden enjoyment you'll find in no other beer at any price. Anheuser-Busch headquarters, St. Louis, Missouri.
In the usual course of things, the future is mercifully hidden from us. I say mercifully because few indeed are those among us who have only joyous elements in their futures, and who wants premature knowledge of the troubles that lie ahead. Oh, people go looking for it, that's true enough. Fortune tellers make a living. Tables tap and Ouija boards are brought out on quiet evenings at home. But in the main, the future keeps its secrets pretty well hidden. When it fails to do so, well, the results are unpredictable.
Do you want to taste this, Helen, and see if it needs more wine or anything?
Oh, sure. I'm glad you told me you're having beef bourguignon. I'm not sure anything else would have got Max out of the house tonight.
Isn't he feeling well?
Well, I've been worried about Max, Gwen.
How come?
He's, I don't know. He just seems withdrawn. He doesn't laugh anymore. He doesn't enter into things.
To tell you the truth, Helen, that's the reason Kyle suggested this little dinner party.
Well, I hope it helps. I've really been concerned.
Well, we all know that Max has been having business worries.
He's been having business worries ever since I've known him, but he's never acted like this before. I mean, it's been like living with a stranger. If I didn't think he'd blow up in my face, I'd suggest he see a psychiatrist.
You about ready for another of these martinis, Kyle?
Well, I have a feeling the girls are going to announce dinner before long.
So, I'll take my drink to the table with me.
Sure, Max.
I'm not going to drown myself in martinis, Kyle, if that's what's worrying you.
No, that's not what's worrying me, Max.
Well, then what is it?
Well, I think we've got the shoe on the wrong foot here. That's what I was about to ask you.
What's troubling me?
Mm-hmm.
My partner kills himself. My business is in a total mess. And you ask me what's troubling me.
Dinner's all ready, you two.
Yeah, I'll be right with you. Do you want your drink, Max?
I'll take it in with me.
Gwen, there's nothing in all this world quite like your beef bourguignon. Isn't it great, Max?
Oh, yes. Delicious. Very good.
You ought to try eating some of it, Max.
Oh, I said it was good, didn't I? For Pete's sake. What do you all want from me, huh?
Helen, did Gwen tell you about her Ouija board?
Her what?
Well, tell her, Gwen.
I went to this garage sale over on Ridgewood Avenue, and I bought a Ouija board, that's all.
That's all. There's been time for nothing else since she came home with the thing. Every evening, and it takes two of us to use a Ouija board.
Do you really believe in that
No,
stuff?
not really. Not seriously.
Well, it uses bad language sometimes, and it can get very personal.
But you keep talking about what it does. Surely it doesn't do anything, not on its own. I mean, you have to push it, don't you?
Well, Gwen swears she doesn't push the thing, and I know I don't, not consciously at least.
I'll show you after dinner, Helen. Do you want to work it with me?
Well, sure, why not?
Fine. That'll give Max and me a chance for a little private talk.
What do we have to talk privately about?
Max, don't be rude.
You're all trying to help, huh? Invite poor old Max out to dinner. Good old Kyle and Gwen to the rescue. Who asked for it?
You can't blame us for trying, Max.
Well, it sure isn't getting us anywhere.
Oh, that's my fault, I suppose. Sure, my fault. You don't know the troubles I got. None of you. You don't know.
Not even me, Max?
No, not even you. What would you say if I told you that my partner's been stealing me blind, huh?
Tom? Tom Garth?
Stealing me blind, and I caught him at it. That's why he blew his brains out.
Well, that's hard to believe of Tom Garth.
Tom was into the firm for almost $100,000. Hey, you calling me a liar?
No, I wasn't calling you a liar.
Max, please, don't be like that.
All right. I couldn't believe it either until I'd gone over the books. Not even then. Not even when I'd seen it in black and white. But it's true. It's been going on for over a year, almost $100,000.
It's an awful lot of money.
Too much for Pickett and Garth, I'll tell you that. We're not big enough to drop $100,000 and go on as if nothing had happened.
Max, if there's anything I can do...
I can handle it.
All right.
There's no way I can get the money back. His wife doesn't have it. He left Maud practically penniless.
Penniless?
Ah, well, I guess she has enough to live on, but not enough to account for that $100,000 he stole.
Yeah, that's a mess, all right.
Then why do we have to keep on and on about it? I'm sick to death of the whole thing.
Max, while the girls are still busy out in the kitchen, well, I can't swing it myself. I don't have that kind of money lying around, but I have connections over at First National, you know, and if you need a loan to get you back on your feet, I'm sure
No, wouldn't help. Might buy me a little time, maybe, but in the long run, wouldn't solve my problem.
All right, we're going to play with Gwen's Ouija board.
You don't play with a Ouija board, Helen. You work with it. Okay, play, work, whatever. You want to try it? I'll get it out. Carl, would you make some room so I can set it up on the coffee table?
Sure.
Now, don't get Helen hooked on the thing, Gwen. That's all I need, a Ouija board telling me to relax and take it easy.
All right, now pull up the footstool, Helen. Oh, okay. That's what Carl always uses, because we have to sit on opposite sides of the table. All right. Now, let's see. We start with a planchette here in the middle. Planchette. That's what they call this little table thing that moves around on the board. This thing. Oh, okay. All right, now rest your fingertips very lightly on the top of the planchette. Mm-hmm. Lightly. Sometimes the planchette even moves under your fingers. Sure it does. Oh, that's the wrong attitude. Now, come on. Sit quietly and think about the planchette moving. Mm-hmm. Concentrate on it. It doesn't seem to be doing anything. You have to be patient. Is there a message for anyone? It's moving. M. U. R. D. E. R. Murder.
Good Lord.
That's what it said. What about murder? It's going again. M. U. R. D. E. R. Well, what is it you want to tell us about murder?
Somebody's pushing the damn thing.
I'm not pushing it, Max. M. U. R. D. E. R.
Well, how about another rubber?
I don't think so, Carl. I haven't been getting too much sleep. I'd like to get to bed early tonight. Besides, we'll lose it.
Oh, come on. It isn't even 11 o'clock. We really ought to go, Gwen.
We'd have been better off staying with a Ouija board.
Too spooky for me. Well, you have to admit it works, though. Don't you, Helen? It's got a one-track mind, and it's morbid. M-U-R-D-E-R. Now, what kind of talk is that?
Gruesome.
Come on, Helen, let's go.
Well, listen, maybe you two can come over to our place next week. Give us a chance to get our money back.
I'm going to be pretty busy next week, Helen. I don't know whether I'll have a free evening or not.
Well, we'll play it by ear. Gwen, it was a lovely dinner. Thank you very much. Well, thank you. We'll see you next week or whenever.
Yeah, so long, huh?
Bye.
Would you like a cup of coffee or something, Carl?
No, I don't think so, Gwen. It wasn't a very successful evening, was it?
What's the matter with him, anyway? Helen's right. He's like a stranger.
Well, you can understand Tom's death upsetting him, especially since Tom had been embezzling the firm's funds.
That's really hard to believe of Tom Garth, isn't it? The Ouija board seemed to upset Max.
Oh, you mean yelling murder? Well, upset me, too. You know, darling, I'm going to break that thing up for kindling wood.
You didn't seem to enjoy the evening much, Max.
I didn't enjoy it any. I told you we shouldn't have gone.
Well, they're just trying to help.
I wish everybody would stop trying to help. I can straighten things out if everybody would just leave me alone.
Are you going right to bed?
I don't know. Maybe I have a nightcap. You go on up if you want to.
Max, I know you won't like this, but you've been drinking an awful lot lately.
You're right, I don't like it.
I mean, it isn't like you. Nothing you do lately is like you.
He's out to get me.
What are you talking about? Who's out to get you?
Kyle Abbott.
What? Max, Kyle Abbott is your best friend.
Now that Tom Goth's dead, you mean? He was my friend, wasn't he? He stole $100,000 from me.
Well, Kyle hasn't stolen anything from you, has he?
He put her up to it, all right.
I don't know what you're talking about half the time.
I'm talking about Gwen Abbott and her stupid Ouija board. You push those things around, you know. They don't just go by themselves.
I still don't see what that has...
Murder, that's all. She made it say murder, murder, murder.
If she was pushing it, why would she make it say murder?
Because Kyle told her to, that's why.
Why on earth would he tell her to do a thing like that?
Because he thinks I killed Tom Goth.
Should a Ouija board be taken seriously? Those who do, and there are more of them than you might think, these believers will tell you that the Ouija board is a means of communication with the dead. Myself, I am a professional fence sitter in these matters. I study the evidence and try to keep an open mind. There'll be more evidence to study when I return shortly with Act Two.
Buy a Buick Opal anytime, and you get a sensational little car. One that's comfortable, fun to drive, built by Isuzu. Equipped with things like a 4-cylinder overhead cam Hemi engine, a short-throw 4-speed manual transmission, plus reclining bucket seats, tinted glass, and rack and pinion steering. But there's more. Because due to popular demand, Buick's extended its special Opal gas offer through November 30th. Which means if you have the good sense to buy a new Opal now, Buick will reimburse you for 200 gallons of gasoline. And with 200 gallons of gas in a new Opal, you can do a lot of driving. Of course, your mileage may vary, but even at the estimated EPA city mileage of 23 miles per gallon, that's 4,600 miles. And on the highway, Opal's EPA estimate is 36 miles per gallon. The Buick Opal gas offer, it's still on. See your Buick Opal dealer soon for details. Make your best deal, and Buick will make it better. 200 gallons better.
There are over 50 Mighty shops in the New York metropolitan area. Consult your yellow pages for the shop nearest you. All over the country, people are switching to Digel. Why? Because Digel is different. Because no plain antacid, liquid, or tablet can do what Digel does. Digel contains simethicone, the only ingredient found to be safe in the treatment of the trapped gas, which often accompanies acid indigestion, heartburn, and sour stomach. So switch to Digel, tablets or liquid. Use only as directed. Digel, deliciously different.
The cry of murder is a shrill and terrifying thing, even when articulated with a Ouija board's silence. Gwen Abbott's Ouija cried murder this evening and then steadfastly refused to explain. Whose murder? Committed by whom? For what purpose? When? Where? How? No explanation. The repeated use of the word, however, was dramatic enough to give pause even to those who considered the Ouija nothing but a silly spelling game. Not one of the four who were present has had a good night's sleep.
Hello?
Kyle.
Oh, yes, Gwen.
I'm sorry to bother you at your office, dear. I can't meet you for lunch today, after all. At least I don't think I should.
Why not?
Helen Pickett just called me and asked me if I could meet her for lunch. She sounded terribly upset, and so I said I would.
Something about Max?
Well, she didn't say, but what else would she be worrying about right now? I'm sorry I'm late, Helen. The traffic was absolutely awful today. Have you ordered? No, I thought I'd wait for you. Have you been running? I hurried. You sounded so upset on the phone.
Well, I am upset.
About Max.
Gwen, do you know anything about paranoia?
No. Are you serious, Helen? Do you actually believe that Max is... Well, I can't believe that.
Well, I don't want to, but something's wrong with him, and to tell you the truth, I'm scared.
Scared of Max?
Of him, maybe. For him, certainly. He said this morning he's going to see Maud Garth.
Well, what, sympathy call? I think you should.
Not a sympathy call. He thinks she's out to get him. Now, those were his words. He thinks everybody's out to get him lately.
Out to get him? In what way?
Gwen, will you tell me something truthfully?
Yes.
Does that Ouija board really work on its own? Doesn't somebody have to push it?
No, it goes by itself. I swear to you, Helen. I don't push it. Kyle certainly wouldn't. He hates the thing.
You didn't push it last night. You weren't making it say murder the way it did.
Absolutely not. Why do you ask?
Max thinks you did.
Look, even if I was manipulating it, why should that worry Max?
He thinks Kyle put you up to it.
Kyle? And I just don't understand it all.
He thinks it's Kyle's way of accusing him, indirectly, of murdering Tom Garth.
Who is it?
It's me, Maud, Max Piggott.
Hello, Max. How are you?
Okay, I guess. You all right?
Well, as all right as I can hope to be under the circumstances. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
Well, I'm afraid the place is in a mess. I'm in the middle of packing.
Oh, you going away?
Yes. I found a little apartment. I'm moving. You know, this house is much too big for just me. Anyway, I seem to see Tom everywhere I look.
Yeah, it must be pretty tough for you. I miss him a lot myself. Why do you keep looking at me that way?
What way?
Well, Tom was my friend, you know. We were more than just partners. We were friends.
Well, I know that.
And I can't understand why you think... what you think.
Think what, Max? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you think I had something to do with Tom's death, don't you? That somehow I'm responsible for it?
Max, such a thought never entered my mind.
No, I wouldn't expect you to admit it, not to me. Look, I have a lot of enemies. And you're one of them. I can see that clearly now. I come here and offer you help, offer you money, and you still sit there looking at me that way, thinking how best you can ruin me, huh?
Max, that's not true.
But I'll win out in the end. You'll see, Maud. I'm smarter than all of you put together. And I'll win out in the end.
Are you busy, Carl?
Oh, no, darling, not too. Come on in. How was your lunch with Helen?
Pretty ghastly, if you want to know. She's worried sick about Max.
Well, after last night, I can't say I blame her.
Do you think that he could be paranoid, Carl?
I don't know enough about it to say. Is that what Helen thinks?
Well, she suggested it. Kyle, how do you think Tom Garth died? How he really died?
Well, suicide. I thought that was established.
You don't think Max had anything to do with it?
Well, good Lord, no, Gwen. Why would I think a thing like that?
Max seems to believe you do.
He believes that... Oh, come on.
According to Helen. He thinks you put me up to making the Ouija board say murder. He thinks it was your way of accusing him of murdering Tom Garth.
Well, Helen imagined it.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I'll get this settled once and for all.
What are you doing?
I'm calling Max at his office. I'm going to settle this.
Piggott and Garth.
Max.
Yes. Is that you, Carl?
Yes, Max, I want to talk to you.
All right. Go ahead.
No, not on the phone. Will you have time after you leave the office this afternoon?
I don't know. What is it you want to talk to me about?
Well, I said not on the phone.
Then
not trying to set me up for something, are you, Kyle?
Now, Max, what the devil are you talking about? I want to see you.
Well, all right, where?
Kelly's Pub, 5:30, be all right?
Kelly's Pub, 5:30. All right.
Maud, come in.
I hope I haven't caught you at a bad time, Helen.
No, not at all. Sit down, Maud. Are you all right?
Oh, yes. I'm having a little trouble adjusting to be alone, of course, but... Well, I'm all right.
It must have been terrible for you.
Not very pleasant. Helen, Max came to see me today.
Oh, yes, he said he might.
Well, he was very strange. I really didn't understand what he was talking about. He thinks of me as an enemy. He said so. In just those words.
Well, I'm afraid he's seeing enemies wherever he looks these days.
But why me?
He's just not himself right now, Maud. We spent yesterday evening with Gwen and Kyle Pickett, and Max got all upset about something a Ouija board said.
A Ouija board?
Well, Gwen's been on a Ouija board kick lately, and she and I were just fooling around with the thing last night, and it spelled out murder. Max was terribly upset.
Has he said anything to you at all about thinking of me as an enemy? Given you any reason why he should feel that way?
What? I don't think so. He said so many strange things.
Oh, there's just no reason.
Well, he'll be all right again soon, Maud. I wouldn't worry about it if I were you.
Except that, Helen, if he thinks of me as his enemy, then that makes him my enemy, doesn't it?
What'll you have, Max?
Scotch and soda, I guess.
Good. 2 scotch and sodas here. Ready, please? How'd it go today, Max?
Like every other day lately. Lousy. Is somebody else going to meet us here, Kyle?
No, I told you I just want to talk to you alone.
I know that's what you said. These days, though, I don't put much stock in what people say to me. I can't afford to. Everyone's so crafty.
Oh, now you just imagine that, Max.
Oh, sure. That's what you'd all like me to believe, isn't it? You must think I'm very stupid not to see what's going on.
Nothing is going on, Max.
I suppose you call it nothing? Gwen making that damn Ouija board of hers keep spelling out murder, murder, murder?
Well, Max, actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Now, I understand you think that I've been making accusations against you.
How do you know that?
Well, there's no mystery about it. Helen told Gwen, Gwen told me.
There, you see?
See what?
You're all working against me. Even Helen. Going behind my back, repeating things I've said in private, plotting against me. Good Lord, I can't even trust my own wife anymore.
Max, what's the matter with you? Well, now, why would I accuse you of murder? What earthly reason would
The same reason all the rest of them have. Destroy Max Pickett.
Max, you've got to stop this.
Oh, yeah.
Now, look, I'm your friend. We've been friends for how many years
We've
now?
known each other for a long time. That's true enough.
We've been friends for a long time. Now, Max, you're not well.
Oh, now we're getting around to that, are we? Next you'll be saying I ought to see a psychiatrist, huh?
Well, I was going to suggest it, as a matter of fact.
And then let it get around, right? Not only is old Max Pickett all the other things you accuse him of being, he's a loony, too. Right?
Max, I think a good psychiatrist could help you.
Help me what? Ruin myself?
All right, forget the psychiatrist. Just listen. I want you to trust me. I don't care about the rest of them, whoever they are. I want to help you, Max. I'm on your side.
Nobody's on my side.
Oh, I am. Will you just believe me and trust me?
Okay. Sure thing, Kyle. I trust you.
All right. And you don't believe that nonsense you were talking to Helen last night, do you? About accusing you of murder?
Oh, of course not. It's ridiculous.
I don't think you're serious.
Hey, you see? You don't trust me.
Max? Max?
What is it?
Oh, I thought I heard you come in. Where are you?
I'm in my study.
Are you busy? Will I disturb you?
I'm busy, but you won't disturb me.
Why didn't you call out when you came in the way you usually do? I thought maybe... Max, what are you doing?
I'm cleaning a gun. What does it look like?
What for?
I don't like dirty guns. Do you mind? I had a drink with Kyle a little while ago.
Oh? Any special reason?
Do we need a reason? We're buddies, aren't we? Old Kyle and I?
Yes, of course.
At least that's what he kept telling me.
Well, you are. You've been friends for years.
Yes, he kept telling me about how long we've been friends. What difference does it make how long? It's what good friends we are. And that's what counts, huh?
You are good friends.
Oh, you bet. Another thing he told me he didn't accuse me of murder.
Well, of course he didn't. I've said that all along.
Helen?
Yes?
How did he know I thought he was accusing me of murder?
How did he know?
That's what I asked you.
I don't know.
Then I'll tell you. He knew that I thought he was accusing me of murder because you told him. That's what I thought.
I haven't even seen him.
You told Gwen. She told him.
Oh. Well, I guess I did mention it to Gwen, yes.
Yes. So what that means is I can't trust my own wife any longer. There's nobody in the world I can trust. It's me against all the rest of you, isn't it?
Max, you did it, didn't you?
Did what?
You killed Tom Garth.
The human mind is an extremely delicate instrument. It serves us well when it is in proper working order, but it can serve us ill indeed when, through some maladjustment, it departs from its normal way and improperly dictates our purposes. We are prone in this condition, which is known as madness, to commit serious crimes, including the crime of murder. I'll be back shortly with Act 3.
True Value Hardware stores suggest a way to communicate how much you care. Give a Robin CB radio this Christmas. Hi, Pat Summerall to tell you why. CB radios have almost become a necessity for anybody who drives. You can use them to get directions, call for help, or to stay alert when driving for long stretches at night or in bad weather. And the Robin Mobile Transceiver Package, a 23-channel CB radio with 5-watt transceiver, antenna, and PA speaker, offers a Performance Plus. You get top-quality features plus good looks at surprisingly low prices. True Value Hardware stores also offer the Deluxe Robin Digital CB radio, a 23-channel transceiver with superb sound reproduction. It features squelch control to reduce interference, a large digital channel readout, and a handsome wood-grain front panel. This Christmas, communicate how much you care. Give a Robin CB radio from participating True Value Hardware stores. True Value. That's more than just a name. It's their way of doing business.
They say that in every man's psychological makeup, there are criminal tendencies held in leash only by the thin veneer we call civilization. And civilization is nothing more than a code of behavior we have imposed upon ourselves because the alternative is chaos. If our minds were not strong enough to hold in abeyance our purely animal tendencies, we would surely lapse into what we call insanity. It happens in individual cases, and the results are appalling.
Hello?
Hello, Gwen?
Yes?
This is Maud, Gwen. Maud Garth.
Maud, how are you?
I'm okay. A little lonely, of course, but that's just something I'll have to get used to.
Are you seeing people? Are you getting out now and then?
Well, enough. As much as I want to. Gwen, Helen tells me you're a Ouija board freak.
Oh, well,
I do have a board. I mean, I don't know if that makes me a freak. I just fool around with it, you know. When I can get somebody to work it with me. Oh.
Well, I had one when I was a kid. I always get a kick out of
Maud,
it.
could you hold on a minute? Yeah. Carl, is that you?
Yes, it's me.
I'm on the phone, dear. I'll be with you in a couple of minutes.
No hurry.
Sorry, Maud. Carl just came in.
Oh, well, I won't keep you.
No. I'm in no rush. What about Ouija boards, Maud?
Well, I was just wondering if I could come over sometime when you're free and maybe we could have a session with yours.
Oh, sure, anytime. What about later this evening?
Oh, that would be nice. Are you sure you're not busy?
Oh, I haven't got a plan to my name. Maud?
Yes?
How come? I mean, why do you want to work with a Ouija board all of a sudden?
Well, I suppose it's silly, but with Tom gone and everything, they do say Ouija boards are a kind of contact with people who have passed away, don't they?
I don't take it quite that seriously, Maud.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to try, would it?
I don't know. To tell you the truth, it doesn't sound very healthy to me.
I'd like to try it all the same, Gwen.
Okay, but don't be too disappointed if it doesn't work, though.
Oh, I won't. I promise.
Around 8:30, then.
That'll be fine. And Gwen, thank you.
Oh, forget it. I'll see you at 8:30.
Who are you seeing at 8:30?
Maud Garth.
Maud, how come?
She wants to work the Ouija board with me.
Oh, that darn Ouija board. What's her interest?
Well, it's sort of morbid, apparently. She wants to see if she can get in touch with Tom.
Oh, Lord. Next we'll be having seance.
Well, I couldn't say no, could I?
No, I guess not.
Did you see Max?
Yes, I sure did.
And?
Weird. Gwen, I'm afraid he's in trouble.
Oh, dear. Carl, why would it occur to him to think you suspect him of killing Tom Garth?
I really don't know. If he's really slipped a cog, there's no point in trying to analyze his thinking.
But what if... Carl, what if he did kill Tom Garth?
You're like all the rest of them, aren't you, Helen? You think I killed him?
I only asked you.
You couldn't testify against me, you know. You're my wife.
Did you, Max?
Yes. Well, he's the one who made it necessary. I didn't want to kill him. He just wouldn't have it any other way.
Max, you really did.
A man has to protect himself, Helen. That's biological. When you're in danger, you have to take steps to avoid the danger. It's what evolution is based on, survival of the fittest.
Why, Max? Oh, Lord, why?
He was threatening me. He should have known I'd have to do something about it. It was his fault.
Threatening you how?
He was talking about sending me to jail. Can you imagine that? We'd been partners and friends for all these years. He was going to send me to jail. Just the way he would a stranger.
How could he have sent you to jail?
He had the evidence, of course. The books were rigged. He had it all right there in front of him.
Are you saying it was you who stole money from the firm? You? Not Tom?
The firm was half mine, wasn't it? How can you call it stealing? Besides, I meant to pay it back when I could. There wasn't any big rush, was there? But he wanted it all back, all of it. My half as well as his.
Max, why did you do it? We were all right. We didn't need the money.
Oh, no? What about that swimming pool out back you spent half the summer in? You think that came out of my salary? The salary I take from Pickett and Garth? No way, no way. What about the country club? Where do you think that money came from? And other things. Lots of other things that you enjoy just as much as I do.
But we didn't need them. We could have lived without the pool or the club.
Helen, why did he have to go snooping in the books anyway? Why couldn't he have trusted me?
Max, what are we going to do?
I didn't enjoy it, believe me. If you're thinking I did, you're wrong. I didn't like doing it at all.
Oh, if only you had.
He was pacing back and forth in his office there, back and forth, accusing me of stealing and all that. He should have known it would have made me angry.
But if you were stealing...
Back and forth. So when he was facing away toward the window, I took the gun out of his desk drawer. Everybody knew he kept a gun there.
Max, I don't want to hear any more.
And then I waited until he sat down at his desk again. And I put the gun up against his head and I pulled the trigger.
Max, please. Please. What are you going to do now?
Well, it's hard to know. I'm going to have to kill Kyle Abbott, of course. And Gwen, too, I suppose. They both guessed.
Max, you can't.
But I've got to, Helen. Don't you understand? There's no other way.
I hope I'm not putting you to too much trouble, Gwen.
No trouble at all, Maud. Kyle and I fool around with the Ouija board almost every night anyway.
Yeah, well, we just fool around with it. We don't take it seriously, Maud. I'm not sure I approve of what you're going to try to do.
Well, I just want to see if Tom is... if I can speak to him.
Well, let's try it. Now, you know what to do, Maud.
Oh, yes.
You just ask it the questions.
Oh, well, Is it possible to communicate with Tom Garth?
Give it a moment. Ask again.
I'm trying to get in touch with the spirit of Tom Garth. Is it possible to speak with him? It's moving.
It's going up to the yes corner.
Is this Tom?
Yes.
Is it all right where you are?
Yes, again.
Oh, now that I've done it, I don't know what to say.
Do you have a message for Maud? M.
U-R. D-E-R.
Oh, no, not again.
Wait, was it you who kept saying murder last night? It says yes.
Do you mean you were murdered, Tom?
Yes.
Who did it? Who?
Oh, wait a minute. It hasn't finished. A-N-D-Y-O-U. And you.
Me?
A-L-L-T-H-R-E-E. All three.
Do you mean that all three of us in this room are going to be murdered?
M-A-X. Max!
I have to go, Gwen. I can't stay here all night.
Well, I don't see why not.
Well, I have to go home sooner or later. I mean, can't we call the police?
And tell them we've been warned by our Ouija board that somebody's planning to murder us? I don't think they'd pay much attention.
You don't think we ought to take the warning seriously?
Well, I admit I feel sort of uncomfortable about it, but no, I don't think we should take it too seriously. It's only a Ouija board, a gadget.
Well, then, there's nothing to keep me from going home, is there?
Well, unless you're going to be frightened.
No, I think you're right. I'll go now.
Where are you going, Max?
Out.
Are you going to the Abbott's house?
I thought I'd pay them a call, yes.
Max, you mustn't. If you leave here, I will call the police and tell them. I will. I'll call them and I'll tell them. Max, please, don't point that gun at me.
You're like all the others. You bring it on yourself. I can't let you call the police. You'll spoil everything. Everything I planned.
Max, please listen to me. You are sick. They will take care of you. The whole thing's been too much for you. The police will know that, and they will take care of you.
I'm all right, Helen. Don't you think I'd know? I'm perfectly all right. I just know what has to be done, and I intend to do it.
No, Max. No.
I will shoot you, Helen. Honestly, I will. I'd rather not, you know that, but I will if you make me. Now, promise me you won't call the police. Well, if you won't promise.
All right. I promise. I won't call the police.
Carl, I'm worried about Maud.
Well, you shouldn't be any more worried about her than about you and me. The Ouija board said we'd all three get it.
I don't think it's funny.
Well, neither do I, darling, but I don't think we ought to let it get out of perspective in the other direction either. After all, it was a Ouija board that warned us, Gwen. It's a Ouija board, a toy.
I don't consider it a toy.
Well, maybe not, but neither is it an oracle.
That must be Maud. She promised to call when she got home. Hello, Maud?
Maud? No, it's Helen, Gwen. Helen Pickett. Helen, what's the matter? You sound so... Gwen, you've got to get out of there. You and Kyle. Get out of here? Out of the house right away. Go someplace where he can't find you and stay there. Don't let him find you there at your house. Find us? Who, Helen? What? Max. Don't you understand? Max is on his way there right now with a gun. He's going to kill you. Max is on his way here? He'll be there any minute. Just get out of the house. Run.
What was all that?
Max is on his way over here with a gun. That was Helen. She said we should get out of the house.
Good Lord, did she call the police?
No, I don't think so. Oh, darling, should we just go? We can phone the police from somewhere else.
Oh, this won't take a minute, Charlie. Hello. Yes, please. I'm calling from 434 Oak Street. We've been warned there's a man coming here with a gun intending to kill us. Yes, 434 Oak Street. Abbott. Kyle Abbott. Wait, he's on... Down, Fred, get down! Hello, did you hear the shot? Now, please get over here as fast as you can.
Are you all right, Kyle?
Yes, darling, are you?
I'm all right. I'm so scared.
Get down. Just stay down, Gwen. Now, listen, I'm going to work my way around to the light switch.
Careful. Hurry, Kyle, hurry.
Yes, I've got it.
That won't do you any good. Turning the lights off. You'd have saved yourself all this trouble, Carl, if you'd only minded your own business. You hadn't got nosy about Tom Garth. It's just a matter of time, you know, until I find the light switch. You couldn't leave well enough alone, huh? Why don't you answer me, Kyle? Why don't you say something? Did I get you with that one? Well, as soon as I find the light switch...
Are you all right, Gwen?
Yes. Are you?
Yes, I'm okay. I hit him with a bookend. Can you find the light switch?
Yes, I think so. Oh, he's bleeding.
Well, I hit him pretty hard. He's coming around now.
But he's still bleeding.
It's tough. Max, can you hear me?
What happened?
I belted you over the head with a bookend.
Oh, Max, why did you do it?
I had to. You knew I'd kill Tom?
No, actually, we didn't at all.
Oh, yes, you did. You can't fool me.
But why did you kill Tom?
I never had enough money. Not for the things we wanted. That's the whole thing. I never had quite enough money. Oh, don't let them take me. Please, don't let them take me.
No, they won't hurt you, Max. They know you're sick.
I'll answer the door.
I can't say that we've made out an airtight case in favor of Ouija boards. Many people explain their odd behavior by blaming the unconscious segment of the mind of the person whose fingers are on the planchette. How will you react the next time a planchette under your fingertips spells out M-U-R-D-E-R? I'll be back in a few minutes. Three murders have been averted, and the mystery of a fourth one solved. And there's no denying that the Ouija board played an important role in this. Unfortunately, it appears to have been the Ouija's swan song, for it leans now against the back wall of one of the closets in the Abbott house. For Gwen, its charm is gone. When she dusts it each spring, she does her best not to study it too closely. For one set of letters stands out as though painted in red. M-U-R-D-E-R. Our cast included Larry Haynes, Ralph Bell, Terry Keane, Marion Seldes, and Marion Hayes.
Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, Paranormal Portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together.
Oh, well, happy Valentine's Day. Wouldn't be Valentine's Day if I didn't push the wrong button now and then, would it? So welcome, surprise. This is an early Valentine's gift to all my gatekeepers because I love you so much. Make sure you get as much of that bacon and sling as much of those hearts as you can right now, because I'm telling you, by the time Valentine's comes along, I'm not going to want to see another rose. Or this is when my dark time comes, so I have to do everything a little early so I don't forget anything. And I thought I would toss this one out since I kind of gypped you this weekend and wanted to put one out there for y'all to enjoy. I'll be in the chat. It is, again, CBS Radio Mystery, and like it says in the description, it came out in the 70s. I believe it was 76. One of the mods can look real quick in the description. I can't pull it up right now from where I am, but yeah, in November in the 70s. And gosh, I can remember I was in high school, and every once in a while I'd catch one of these on the radio and turn the lights down low and light a candle and try to go to sleep, and probably had a test the next day or trying to figure out how I was going to get out of doing something I didn't want to do. We all had those days. Gosh, it was something else, but the 70s. So I figured, hey, why not? We delved into the 70s last night a little bit with Mr. Steve Stockton, and we're going to do it a little tonight here with CBS Radio Mystery. This one is entitled The Money Makers, and it is a wonderful little ghost story, and it's got a little of everything we like. It's got a little crime, a little shenanigans, a little of a murder plot, and a little bit of the other side coming through to connect with somebody and maybe help them out a little bit. Let's see which side the ghost lands on. So listen to this with me. I hope you enjoyed the intro. Of course, my favorite picture to share with y'all, as simple as it is, was that one. You know, as cold as it gets, love shines through. And just to prove it, a little more of that. Happy Valentine's, everybody. I hope you enjoy, because you know I love you. Bacon to everybody. Get your popcorn. And I hope you enjoy The Moneymakers, CBS Mystery Theater. I'll be in the chat. I love you all.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. I'd like to guide you now through an adventure involving two worlds, each of which, as they brush in passing, leaves its indelible mark upon the other. Two worlds not common to the experience of most of us. The world of crime and the world of the occult. An uneasy association, you say? Yes, that and more. Much, much more, as you will hear.
Has anybody heard or seen anything of the ghost?
Oh, come on, Julie. You act like you want to see the damn thing.
Well, I never saw a ghost. It would be like a new experience for me.
Look, please, will you just knock it off about the ghost? What's wrong with you two, anyhow? There is no such thing as ghosts. Yeah, well, you're just asking for trouble living in a haunted house.
Except, why does it have to be trouble? I mean, a ghost is just somebody. Only they're dead instead of alive. Now, if I should die and get to be a ghost, I'd still just be me, wouldn't I?
Our mystery drama, The Moneymakers, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Fielden Farrington and stars William Redfield and Bryna Rayburn. It is sponsored in part by Listerine lozenges and Sign-Off, the sinus medicines. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
In case you've forgotten how much fun driving can be, Buick would like to introduce you to Skylark, a small car that's all Buick, with room, comfort, and an engine that no other compact car in America offers, the incredible Buick V6. Skylark, it's free spirit made practical. That's how it's gonna be, your spirit's
In God we trust. America speaks. In the words of Thomas Jefferson, I must believe that religion substantially good, which produces an honest life, and we've been authorized by one whom you and I equally respect to judge of the tree by its fruit. Presented by the Catholic Communications Foundation.
Some people go to extremes to tell you how good their shock absorbers are.
Tina the elephant has been standing on our new shocks for 3 days.
After thousands of miles of driving on the back roads of Morocco, our new shock absorbers still hold up.
At Midas, we tell you how good our new Lifeguard shock absorbers are with a piece of paper. It's called a guarantee. It says if anything goes wrong with our new Midas Lifeguard shocks, we'll replace them free for as long as you own your American or foreign car or light truck. There are 228 different Lifeguard shocks. One of them is right for the car you drive, the way you drive. The new Lifeguard shock absorber from Midas, guaranteed whether you drive through the Baja or the back roads of Morocco. When it comes to what's under your car, at Midas we're specialists. We have to do a better job.
Wherever you live or work in Greater Chicago, you're just minutes away from one of the 42 conveniently located Midas shops. When your car, foreign or domestic, needs servicing, check the white pages for the shop nearest you.
Most stories are best told by eyewitnesses, or better still, by participants in the events themselves. For this occasion, I have such a participant to tell you his own story. He is not your run-of-the-mill narrator, however. He is, to put it plainly, a ghost.
A ghost? Yes. These 100 years past, I have been a ghost, restricted to the haunting of a single old house. How this came about, I suppose, might interest some, but that is not the matter I wish to dwell upon. I want to tell you instead a story of much more recent vintage, and I believe of far greater interest.
You're kidding. This is the house? Well, what were you expecting, Steve? Buckingham Palace?
Oh, I think it's kind of sweet.
Julie thinks everything's kind of sweet. It's moldy. You open the front door, the whole thing falls down on your head. Now, look, I should have picked out the place myself.
Well, it wouldn't look bad if it had some curtains on the windows and maybe if somebody cut the grass.
Now, Steve, the rent's dirt cheap and nobody comes snooping around. It's exactly what we're looking for. A fellow in the village said it's haunted, too.
Haunted? Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, I never was in a haunted house ever in my life.
Now, look, if I'm going to have to spend the rest of the summer listening to you beef about the house, we might as well quit.
He wants a medal. He found a moldy old house with a ghost in it.
Okay. You want me to back the van out of the driveway and we call the whole thing off?
Okay, no call to get all steamed up. I lived in lousy dumps before. Not haunted, but lousy. Come on, let's get unloaded. We got a printing press to set up.
Can I help, Roy?
You better just stay out of the way, huh, Julie?
Yeah, out of the way.
Okay. Hey, what are you going to do with a printing press way out here in the country?
Okay, Roy, tell her.
Steve and I have decided to go into the printing business for ourselves, Julie.
Oh, that's nice. But way out here?
Well, you don't understand, Julie. You see, what we're going to do is,
Well, look, of course, I don't know anything about business or any of that, but I think you'd want to be like in the city or somewhere. I mean, what's going on way out here?
Oh, we'll return to the city. That's why we took this place just for the summer. I mean, we want to set up here in the basement and practice, see? So by, say, October, we'll really know what we're doing and be ready to compete with the best in the business.
Oh. Well, so what are you going to print? While you're practicing, I mean.
What are we going to... Well, you know, this and that. It don't matter what you print, you know. It's how you print it.
Oh.
Can we get moving? At this rate, it's going to be October before we get the damn thing even running.
Yeah, right. Okay, Julie, you want to go upstairs and fix us some lunch? I mean, driving makes me hungry.
Oh, all right. Ham and cheese on rye, all right?
Yeah, sure, fine. Whatever.
Yeah, well, I'll fix some coffee also if I can find the pot.
Thanks. That's great.
You mean to tell me she's going to buy a kooky story like that? We're going to spend the summer practicing?
Julie believes anything I tell her.
Yeah, I guess. Anything anybody tells her.
Julie's okay, Steve. I mean, she's kind of dumb, but she's okay.
Yeah, we shouldn't have brought her with us, Roy. You should have left her in the apartment in the city where she couldn't get in no trouble.
We've been all through this a dozen times already. Somebody's got to cook. Somebody's got to clean up the mess. Besides, she's my wife. I mean, I got to take her places with me.
I just got this feeling.
She's here now, Steve. Okay. Can I see the plates?
Yeah, I got them right here in the briefcase. You sure she can't hear us from upstairs?
Sure, I'm sure. She wouldn't be listening anyhow.
Yeah. There's my babies.
Oh, hey, they look pretty good.
Pretty good. Let me tell you something. There ain't never been a better $10 or $20 bill than what we're going to make with these plates. Except maybe government issue.
Yeah.
Ernie Cochran made these plates for Eddie Strong, and they're the best.
Yeah, but no heat on them or nothing, huh?
They've been sitting in Eddie's safe deposit box for 10 years since he used them. Eddie willed them to me before the Morley boys got them. Rest his soul.
I didn't like Steve. He was a nasty little man with dirty fingernails. And I didn't like the way he talked about Julie. Roy wasn't as bad as Steve, but I knew it was Julie with whom I must communicate. I was watching and listening while they had lunch.
As soon as I get these dishes washed, I'll unpack everything. Oh, and I have to clean up this kitchen, too. It's awful. I haven't looked at the bedrooms yet.
Where did they get the furniture in this house? Looks like they bought it used from the Ark after the rain stopped.
Oh, it's all Victorian, like the house. The original stuff, some of it. I mean, that's what the agent said.
Yeah, just about right for a ghost, I guess.
Has anybody heard or seen anything of the ghost?
Oh, come on, Julie.
You act like you want to see the damn thing.
Well, I never saw a ghost. It would be like a new experience for me.
Look, will you just knock it off about the ghost? I mean, what's the matter with you two anyway? There is no such thing as ghosts.
You're just asking for trouble living in a haunted house.
Except, why does it have to be trouble? I mean, a ghost is just somebody, only they're dead instead of alive, you know? If I die and get to be a ghost, I'd still be me, wouldn't I?
Yeah. Look, I'm getting as sick of that ghost as if he was real. Come on, Steve. Let's get back to work, huh?
Yeah, sure. Only why did you have to rent the house with a ghost in it? That's what I can't figure.
Oh.
Julie.
Roy? Roy, did you call me?
No, I didn't call. Well, hey, we're busy, Julie.
I thought I heard... Well, okay.
Julie, it's not your husband. I'm right here in the room with you.
I don't see anybody.
No, you can't see me. Now, don't be frightened.
I'm not. Hey, are you the ghost?
Yes, I am. But it's all right, Julie. I don't mean you any harm.
I thought you saw ghosts.
Well, some ghosts, I suppose. People don't see me. They only hear me.
Oh. Well, you do have a kind of spooky voice.
I wouldn't have troubled you, but there is a favor I must ask.
A favor? Well, sure. Anything I can do.
Thank you. First, though, I must tell you my story. It isn't a very pretty story, but it won't take long.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
I built this house a long time ago for myself and my wife. I wanted to write a great novel. I felt that I could, and I had enough money to allow me to indulge myself in this way, but my wife was perfidious.
Perfidious? Oh, that means she cheated, doesn't it?
That's exactly what it means.
Oh.
I had a friend. Well, I thought he was my friend who published books.
Uh-huh.
He had encouraged me to try my hand at a novel, and he spent a great deal of time with my wife and myself here in our new home. Ostensibly to help me with my work, but he was making love to my wife.
Oh, now that's a dirty trick.
Yes, I found them out eventually, of course, and I thought about killing him. But I wasn't the sort to do it. I couldn't bring myself to. Instead, they killed me.
Oh, yeah, but what had you ever done to them?
Well, I was in their way.
Ah.
There was a little room down in the basement, an alcove, really, where we kept kindling and firewood. They put my body in there and walled up the open space with bricks. You wouldn't know there had ever been a room there. Well, my body's been there ever since.
Oh, that's terrible. How could anybody do such a thing?
Oh, yes, it was a terrible thing to do.
And you want to get even?
Oh, no, nothing like that. Perhaps I did for a time, but that was a long time ago. They're both dead now, of course.
Well, then, what kind of favor?
There are rules that the dead must follow. I am not allowed to leave this house until my mortal remains are taken out of that sealed room and given proper burial with a prayer. That's all.
Well, we can do that.
I would be very grateful. Eternally grateful. The wall that must be broken down is at the opposite end of the basement from where your husband and his friend have set up their printing press. It is the only section of brick wall. It should not be difficult to find. If you would.
Of course. Either tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. Oh, good gracious, of course we will.
Oh, now that was a steak. Yeah, better than the beans and franks we'd have probably had if Julie hadn't been here, right, Steve?
Oh, why wouldn't I be here?
Oh, after a steak like that, I ain't mad at nobody. You stay forever, Julie. Hey, any more of that beer in the icebox there?
Yeah, most of a case.
You want a beer, Roy?
Yeah, sure, why not? Hey, kitchen looks pretty respectable the way you got it cleaned up, Julie.
It's really a sweet little house.
We got to get hold of a TV somewhere.
Roy, can I talk to you?
Sure, baby.
Look, you got to believe this, Roy. I was talking to the ghost this afternoon, just after lunch.
Julie, come off it.
Talking to it?
His name is Noah Carpenter. It was, anyway. He was murdered in this house. I don't know how long ago, when it was new, and they hid his body in an alcove down in the basement. He wants us to take it out of there and bury it.
Are you trying to tell me you found all that out from a ghost?
Yeah.
A talking ghost?
Talks just as good as you. Better if you want to know.
I don't like it. I don't like ghosts around underfoot.
Wait a minute. Wait, are you both crazy? For Pete's sake, there is no such thing as ghosts.
Look, we have to break through a brick wall down the basement. I know where to look. And we have to take him out and bury him and say a prayer.
A prayer?
You want to do it now or wait until morning?
Roy, I want to rush this job through and get out of here. This place gives me the creeps.
Look, you're both out of your skulls. We're going to go right ahead and do everything the way we planned it. We're not going to rush things, and we're not going to go looking for dead bodies. I mean, what is the matter with you two?
Look, I can do it myself if you won't help me.
You are to stay out of that basement, Julie. That's an order.
I heard everything they said, of course, and I was quite puzzled by my own reaction. I wasn't sure, after a century of waiting, I wasn't really sure I wanted to be set free. Not as long as Julie stayed in the house. I knew it was nonsense. I knew it could never possibly work out. I was a ghost, after all, and she was very, very much alive. But I was in love with Julie.
There's an interesting question that's been asked over and over, but never, to my knowledge, satisfactorily answered. What portion of true love is physical and what portion spiritual? There is nothing physical left of Noah Carpenter. Julie gives the impression of being more than a little physical. Can there be any sort of union between the wholly spiritual and the primarily physical? We'll look for, though I can't guarantee to find, an answer when I return shortly with Act 2.
I want that sinus medicine.
Headache tablet?
No, the sinus medicine that relieves headache and congestion, internal sinus pressure, and postnasal drip.
You mean Sign-Off?
Exactly.
Compare Sign-Off tablets with anything you've ever taken for sinus. No sinus tablet you can buy relieves more symptoms. Sign-Off gives you a full dose of pure aspirin plus a powerful sinus drainer. Sign-Off works fast to help sinus pain while you drain.
Sineoff.
Sign-Off, the sinus medicines in the bright red box. Take when needed, only as directed.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome.
America has so much to overcome. Hard, concrete problems that only knowledge can resolve. Will you help us overcome them by giving to America at the very source of her future? Give to the college of your choice now.
A public service message of this station and the Advertising Council.
Prestige Clothing Company, 65 East Madison Street, just received over 800 men's suits, sport coats, simulated leather, man-made fur coats, genuine cashmere top coats and overcoats. Actual values are $69.95 to $135. Originally factory ticketed. Our price is $29.99, none higher. You cannot pay over $29.99 for any man suit, sport coat, overcoat, top coat in our store. We will sell every man $69.95 to $135 suit, sport coats, simulated leather, or nylon quilted coats and jackets, heavy wool and cashmere tops and coat and overcoats. All worth $69.95 to $135 for only $29.99. None are higher priced, all now $29.99. When you see this merchandise, you will hardly believe it. Double knit polyesters and 100% wools, all now $29.99, none higher. Come right over, open 7 days, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Prestige Clothing, 65 East Madison. Phone 263-4700. Sale ends November 30th.
Some very strange things are happening in the old house which Noah Carpenter has been haunting these past 100 years. You'd think just the haunting would be sufficiently out of the ordinary, wouldn't you? But now a printing press has been installed in the basement of the house, and Roy and Steve plan to use it to print a great deal of counterfeit money. And as if even that weren't enough, Noah, the ghost, has fallen in love with Roy's wife, Julie. all very involved and seemingly unresolvable.
Okay, that's enough. No waste of paper. Just a test run.
Right. Hey, the 10s look pretty good, Steve. Yeah, and the 20s, too. Pretty darn good.
You better believe it.
I mean, like real, you know? I'd take them any day.
Except they all got the same serial number. Anybody would take them. You know, I bet you could run these things to a bank one at a time.
It gives me a kind of a creepy feeling, you know? Making my own money.
You'll get used to it.
What are we going to do with it, you know? After we get it printed?
I told you already. I got it fixed up with Sam Brophy. You know Sam?
No.
The handler, they call him.
Oh.
He gets the stuff into circulation.
Yeah, but how? I mean, how does he do it?
Well, that's his business. I'm not about to ask him.
Yeah, but how much... Well, I never asked you how much his take is.
We get 20%.
We get 20%.
That's right. We give him 250,000 queer ones, and he gives us 50,000 straight ones.
50,000? Out of 250,000?
It's a real good deal.
Yeah, but I figured, couldn't we do it ourselves? You know, pocket the whole 250 grand?
Forget it.
Why?
For one thing, I got a deal with Sam. Besides, he's got the contacts, and we ain't. We try something like that, we're both going to end up doing a stretch.
Oh, man, you make $250,000, you end up with only 50,000. It seems kind of lopsided to me.
And we split it, so it comes to 25 grand apiece.
That's what I mean.
So when was the last time you were $25,000 spending money?
I never did.
Julie.
Hey, is that...
It's Noah, Julie.
For crying out loud, how long have you been in here watching me?
I just got here. I've been down in the basement.
Well, you shouldn't sneak up on a girl when she's got her hair tied up in an old rag and wearing these awful old slacks. And...
You look beautiful, Julie. Very beautiful.
Well, thank you. I was just trying to clean this living room a little.
Oh, it's been quite a while since the place was cleaned.
You know something? It's not fair.
What isn't fair?
Well, you can see me in a mess like this, or all dressed up, or goodness only knows how else. But you, I've got no idea at all what you look like.
I don't look like anything. The reason you can't see me is that there is nothing to see.
Just nothing?
I can't explain it to you. I'm not permitted to. Julie, may I ask you a very personal question?
You can ask.
Do you love your husband?
Oh, that's some question. I'm married to him, aren't I?
Oh, well, that's not what I asked, is it?
Maybe I don't know the answer. I'm married to him, and he doesn't push me around or anything. What do you care? I mean, what business is it of yours?
If I were something besides what I am, well, I think I'd have to say I'm in love with you.
Oh, golly.
However, it's quite absurd. We won't talk about it anymore. Actually, I was wondering how badly you'd be hurt if you knew. Or perhaps you do know.
Know what?
What Roy and Steve are doing down in the basement. They're going to print counterfeit money, Julie. $250,000 in counterfeit 10s and 20s.
That's against the law. Roy's not a criminal.
If he isn't now, he will be very soon.
What am I supposed to do?
Leave. Get out of this house and away from this whole business. You mustn't get involved.
Oh.
You're a fine person, too good to go to prison for something you had no part in.
Prison? Why should I go to prison?
You're an accomplice, Julie. You've helped them. Disassociate yourself from those two.
But I don't think I could just pack up and leave. Not without talking to Roy first, at least.
I'm afraid that would be a very dangerous thing to do.
For heaven's sake, why? Well, what's dangerous?
I don't know about Roy, but I'm quite sure that Steve is potentially a violent man.
The think I'm going to hit the hay.
Oh, it's only 10 o'clock, Steve.
Yeah, we got a big day tomorrow, Roy. Wouldn't hurt if you got a good night's sleep yourself.
Well,
Roy, could I talk to you for a few minutes before you go up to bed?
Huh? Oh, okay, sure.
If we got a problem or something here, I don't have to go right this minute.
Look, it's personal, Steve. Between me and Roy.
Oh, well, okay, I'll see you in the morning. I ain't one to butt into nobody's private business.
How come you and Steve got such a great big day tomorrow?
Well, you know, Julie, the more practice we get in, the better we're going to be when we open up our own place next fall.
Well, you've been a printer, part-time at least, ever since you were a kid, Roy. How come you have to practice all of a sudden?
Oh, well, you see, you go in business for yourself. It ain't the same, Julie. You got to be good at all kinds of work. I mean, you just wouldn't believe some of the stuff people want printed.
Like money?
What are you talking about?
Like phony $10 and $20 bills? $250,000 worth?
Wait a minute. Where'd you get an idea like that?
It doesn't matter where I got it. Is it true?
Have you been snooping around down there in the cellar? You been listening to me and Steve talking?
So it's true.
I didn't say that. I said, where'd you get hold of such a crazy idea in the first place?
Where I got the idea is my business, and I'm not going to tell you.
Julie,
That hurt.
Now, look, that's a sample, see? Just a sample. Next time, I don't just slap you. Now, where did you hear all this crazy stuff?
Noah told me.
Noah?
Noah Carpenter, the ghost.
Look, I wasn't kidding, Julie. The next one is going to be
You
a
hit
real...
me once more, and I'm out of this place like a shot.
Steve was right. We never should have brought you out here.
Steve.
Roy? Hey, was that you said my name, Roy?
It wasn't Roy. My name is Noah Carpenter. I'm the ghost.
You're the... Hey, come on, cut it out. Roy, stop kidding around, will you?
It isn't Roy. Does my voice sound like Roy's?
Roy? Roy, help!
That isn't going to do you any good. How do you think Roy can help you?
You help!
Hey, Steve, what's the matter with you?
The ghost, he's here. He's right in here with us.
Oh, holy Toledo, not the ghost again, Steve.
He's here, I tell you gotta believe me. He was talking, just like people.
Wait, no. You imagined it, Steve.
I didn't. He's here. He's here right now.
Get some sleep, will you? You're all keyed up.
Hey, you ain't leaving, are you, Roy? I don't want to be left alone with that thing.
I gotta get back to Julie. I'm having a little trouble with Julie.
You gonna leave me here alone?
Steve, you'll be okay.
I told you there wasn't anything he could do for you, Steve.
All right. What do you want from me?
You're right. I do want something from you.
Tell me and get it over with, will you?
I want you to take those plates and go. Leave this house.
I don't know nothing about no plates.
The 10s and 20s, Steve. The ones Eddie Strong willed to you before the Morley boys got him. Isn't that what you say?
What's it to you anyhow? Why should a ghost care about what people do?
Since I do care, it isn't important why, is it?
Okay, what if I just tell you to go to blazes?
I'll see to it that you're apprehended and brought to justice. Both you and Roy.
Now, how are you going to do that? You ain't nothing but a ghost.
I've told Julie about the counterfeiting. I expect her to help me.
Julie ain't going to blow the whistle on me and Roy. He's her husband.
I don't think Julie wants anything to do with that kind of money.
Well, just say she does, though. What could you do? The fellow in the village was talking about you. Said you couldn't leave the house. You're stuck in here.
Yes, that is true.
So there ain't a darn thing you can do if Julie don't blow the whistle.
I'm depending on Julie.
The ghost told her about the plates and all. Is that what you were fighting about last night?
Ghost, ghost, ghost. All I hear is ghost. There ain't no such thing, Steve.
You think not?
Look, Steve, she knows what we're doing.
And who do you think told her? You think I told her? That lousy ghost told her, that's who.
Well, Whoever, she knows.
Is she going to blow the whistle?
I don't know. I don't believe she would.
I do.
I'm her husband, Steve.
It's happened before. I think we better make plans.
You mean pack the stuff back in the van and forget the whole deal?
No, I got a better idea.
What idea?
There ain't a thing that Ghost can do to us without Julie's help. He admitted it last night.
Steve, I got enough trouble without Ghost. What kind of a plan have you got, huh?
That Ghost is real. You'll have to take my word for it. But without Julie, he can't do a thing to us. Not one darn thing.
So what's the plan, Steve?
We got a hole somewhere down here in the cellar with one body already in it. Why not make it two? We're going to have to waste Julie.
Counterfeiting is a crime against the financial structure of the society in which it is committed. Deplorable, of course. But murder is a crime against God and against the very nature of civilization. An evil thing. A man has just been asked to collaborate in the murder of his own wife. Not in a passionate frenzy, but in cold blood. We haven't heard his answer yet, but we shall when I return shortly with Act 3.
Buick's 1976 Century Regal is the most luxurious midsize car Buick builds. But it's also got a practical side. In fact, it makes a concession to practicality that no other American midsize car does. It comes with a V6 engine, and a Buick V6 at that. Regal, it's got the spirit. That's how it's gonna be.
Me. What's up, Doc?
Hi, I'm Mel Blanc, and that's just one of 1,000 voices I do. That's why they asked me to tell you about Lemon Mint Listerine lozenges.
They really soothe your throat when you have a cold.
And Listerine's anesthetic medicine helps give fast, temporary relief from minor sore throat pain. Lemon Mint Listerine lozenges. No matter how many voices you've got, you've only got one throat.
So get Listerine lozenges, folks.
There's plenty of excitement at Northwest Federal Savings these days. It's a harvest hoedown of gifts. A regular foot tap and hand clapping collection of bright ideas for the fall season. And they're free or at greatly reduced prices when you save $250 or more. So swing around to the great Northwest Territory. At any one of the 4 savings centers, you'll find name brands like Waring, GE, Corning, and Presto. Choose from juicers, portable radios, automatic casseroles, and electric percolators, just to name a few. And for saving $50, you can start sewing up Christmas accessories ahead of time with famous Bucilla Needlecraft Kits, a beautiful leisure fun offer available far below retail cost. Remember, your savings will earn the highest interest rates allowed by law. So join the hoedown, everyone. At Northwest Federal, the gifts are free and the savings fun. In Chicago on Irving Park, in Des Plaines, in Norridge, and a new location in Arlington Heights.
Northwest Federal Savings Time, 53 hours a week.
This is WBBM Chicago.
Our two worlds, the world of crime and the world of the occult, have confronted each other and are joined in a bitter struggle. Right and wrong are clearly defined, and if you believe that right always triumphs, there is no cause for concern over the outcome. But history doesn't seem to prove beyond reasonable doubt that right, as we understand it, does always triumph in the end. The truth is, the most worthy of all are often the lost causes.
Julie? Julie, you in there?
Go away, Roy.
I want to talk to you, Julie.
I'm resting.
Look, I have to talk to you, Julie. Now, please, it's important.
If you were coming in anyway, why did you bother to knock?
Now, Julie, listen. About last night.
About you slapping me? You want to talk about that?
No. About the counterfeiting.
You admit that's what you're doing down there?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. You see, the thing is, honey, I never could get any money ahead. Never, you know? I mean, not even enough to let us feel comfortable.
So you decided to make your own. You think just because you couldn't earn all the money you wanted, that makes it all right?
Look, I'm sick of being broke. And we're not hurting anybody, Julie. We're not stealing from anybody. All we're doing is just putting some fresh money in circulation.
Then why is there a law that says you have to go to jail for doing it? Look, Roy, how much have you made already, huh? I mean, how many of the things have you run off?
A few samples. We haven't even really started.
Okay. If you want to burn up that stuff you've already made and promise not to make any more, if you just shut down the whole operation, we move out of this place, okay, I won't leave you.
Leave me?
You're surprised. You admit you're a counterfeiter, and you slapped my face last night, and you're surprised when I think about walking out?
I never thought I'd hear you talk like this, Julie.
Well, I guess the world is full of little surprises. I never thought I'd be married to a criminal.
Look, I can't pull out now.
Sure you can. Are you scared of Steve?
Well, he's dumped a lot of money into this thing, Julie. He's made commitments, and he trusted me.
That bum! He wouldn't trust his own mother.
Look, if I don't pull out of this job, will you go to the police or something like that? I mean, would you turn us in?
I don't know. I think probably I would.
You don't mean that?
I think most likely I would. Yeah.
I heard all that, of course. I was struggling with my conscience. For ghosts do have consciences. Conscience is a thoroughly spiritual thing. I had more to gain selfishly by keeping my hands off than by interfering. I followed Roy down to the basement where Steve was waiting for him.
Okay, you had your talk with Julie. What'd she say?
Well, she still wants us to knock it off, Steve. Like she says, just load the press back on the van and drive away.
Oh, no.
But listen, you can see how she feels. She gets hit with this thing right out of the blue.
What do I care how she feels? We're all set up here and ready to run. We'll go ahead with it.
We can't. She'll Well, look, I'm getting scared she'll turn us in.
Well, we'll have to do it my way, I guess. We're going to have to waste Julie.
No, you can't do that, Steve.
You want to bet?
Hey, you don't have to pull a gun on me.
You better get used to it, Roy. I gave you a chance to go along like a nice guy, and you blew it. Now, you do things my way, or you get your head blown off. This place is going to be lousy with ghosts.
Julie.
Is that you, Noah?
Yes?
Boy, even Roy knocks before he comes into a lady's room.
He has knuckles.
Oh.
Julie, there's no choice any longer. You must leave this place.
Well, I've been thinking about it.
There's
Noah.
no more time for thinking. They're planning to kill you.
Kill me? Oh, come on. Roy wouldn't do a thing like that.
Steve would.
Roy wouldn't let him.
Roy can't stop him. You'll have to go right away. They aren't going to give you much time.
Noah, are you just trying to get me away from Roy again? Is that what it is?
What Steve wants to do is break down that wall and hide your body in the same room with mine.
That's...
Macabre, yes, macabre. But do you know what it would mean? It would mean that you and I, our spiritual selves, would be imprisoned in this house together for all eternity, unless someone found our bodies.
No.
That wouldn't be bad for me. I'd be much happier having you with me, but I don't want it to happen to you. You must understand, I am not selfishly motivated when I beg you to go.
I'm sorry. You know, you're really a very sweet guy, Noah. Maybe if Roy could have been a little more like you, it...
Will you leave now, Julie?
I'm not afraid of those two. I haven't decided yet.
Put some back into it, Roy. You act like you don't enjoy this kind of work.
You holding a gun on me? Making me break into a room where you want to hide my wife's body after you killed her? You're right. I don't enjoy it.
Well, do it anyway. You don't get to work, I'm going to have an extra body to stuff in there. Now, you see, all it takes is a little elbow grease.
Wow.
Okay, now widen the hole. Work the bricks loose around it.
Steve, I think I'm going to be sick. There's some bones in there. A skeleton.
Well, it figures, don't it? The ghost said he was in there.
Well, we gonna take the thing out and bury it?
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
Well, that's what Julie said we should do.
What we broke the wall down for, Roy, was to put one in, not take one out.
Steve, please, I can handle Julie. We'll go ahead just like we planned, and Julie won't make any more trouble. I give you my word.
She won't make no trouble. That's one thing you're dead right about. I'll widen out that hole.
Steve, if you kill Julie, I don't care if it takes the rest of my life.
The rest of your life ain't going to amount to much if you don't shut up. All right. We're going upstairs now. Now, you walk just a little ahead of me and don't get funny. Just keep on thinking about this gun and remembering how I wouldn't mind using it.
Noah? Are you still here?
Yes, I'm here, Julie.
Look, I've decided to take your advice. I'm going to leave just as soon as I can get packed.
I'm afraid it's too late, Julie. They're coming for you right now.
Coming for me?
Steve and Roy. Steve is forcing Roy at gunpoint. He has no choice.
What shall I do?
Take the phone off and put it down on the table.
If they're coming right now, I won't have
It's
time.
the only way I can help you, Julie. I can't manipulate material objects. I can't pick up the phone or dial it. I can't interfere physically, no matter what Steve does to you. Please, just lift the phone off and dial 0. Please, Julie.
All right.
Julie, he's got a gun. There wasn't anything I could do.
Come on downstairs, Julie.
I'm going nowhere with either of you.
Okay, take her down, Roy.
Come on, Julie, please. We gotta do what he said.
I don't have to.
Julie.
You take your hands off me.
Honey, he just wants you to come downstairs. I mean, that's all he wants.
Sure, old Steve wouldn't hurt a fly. You know that.
Operator, please send the police to the old Carpenter place out on Beechwood Road. It's an emergency. There's going to be a murder.
Right to the back of the cellar. Show her where.
He's going to kill me, isn't he, Roy?
I tried to stop him, Julie, but he made me.
Okay, right over there. Now, you see that hole? It's real cozy in there. Got a skeleton and everything.
A skeleton? You found Noah.
Somebody, anyway. What used to be somebody.
Now, listen, we have to take him out and bury him and say a prayer. You can do whatever you want after that, but we have
You
to
see that hole? Crawl on through there, Julie.
100 years he's been in there. Nothing but bones.
Get on inside.
I will not.
I didn't ask you. I told you not do it.
So you can shoot me in there instead of out here? You want me in there? You put me in there.
If that's the way you want it.
Don't do it, Steve.
What? Who said that?
Noah?
That damn ghost again.
Not damned, Steve. Confined to this house until my bones are properly buried, but not damned. You're the one who has that to look forward to.
I don't need your lousy sermon.
Do you have any idea what the punishment is for murder?
Life, if they catch you. So?
I don't mean worldly punishment. I mean the final judgment and punishment, and you'll be caught, Steve. There is no place to hide.
You're going to give me the fire and brimstone routine now? I heard that since I was a kid.
Fire and brimstone for some, but for a greedy one like you, something more imaginative, I should think. For example, poverty. Never enough to eat. Never enough clothing to cover you decently or keep you warm. Never the hope even that things will get better.
That ain't the way I heard it when I was a kid.
And loneliness. Never anyone who will even pretend to be your friend as Roy has done here. An eternity of loneliness and want. You'll know yourself as utterly despicable. You'll envy those, even the other damned souls who don't have to live with you. You'll despise yourself that much.
Now, wait just a minute.
1,000,000 lifetimes of regret. 1,000,000 lifetimes to remember the moment you put enough pressure on that trigger to cause the gun to fire. You'll have all eternity in which to wish you hadn't done that.
Now, look, I ain't done it yet.
You have only this moment to make the decision. Make it the wrong way and you'll spend all eternity wishing you hadn't. Either squeeze the trigger now, Steve, or hand the gun to Julie and spare yourself eternal damnation.
Well, I still got the plates. I could... here, take the stupid thing.
Take the gun, Julie.
Don't think you scared me any, though. It's a hairy situation, that's all. I don't have to be told when a situation gets too hairy to handle.
Hey, what's that?
What's what?
Well, it sounds like... Don't that sound like a siren?
Somebody think. I'm getting out of here. You coming, Roy?
Will I?
No, what shall I do?
Let him go. They'll catch you.
Steve's right. Look, honey, we got to get out of here.
You go ahead. I'm not leaving yet.
Julie, I can't wait. They'll... Okay, I'm going.
Oh, Noah. You saved my life.
I wonder if all those things I said are true. I don't really know.
Oh, you could have let him kill me and we'd have been together. I don't think I'd have minded too much.
I couldn't let the same thing happen to you that's happened to me.
Well, I'll see to it that they, bury you. I'll ask him to let me say the prayer.
Yes, I'd like that.
Do we have to say
goodbye, Julie? Goodbye. They did take my body out of the old house, and I think they must have buried it, because I somehow feel that I am about to move on. I shall miss Julie, miss her very deeply. Still, the mortal span is short. Another 50 years, another 60. We'll meet again, Julie and I.
It's heartening to feel that there are such emotions as love, hope, and compassion in the next life. And I found it comforting, too, that Noah seemed as human as he did. Not a moaning, chain-rattling, terrifying specter, but, as Julie herself said, just somebody who was no longer alive. I'll be back in the flesh in just a moment.
When a storm's been brewing, whose Weather Bureau helps your Weather Bureau give you an early warning?
Who got all of the world's pilots and control towers to speak English so you can land safely no matter where you fly?
Who's just about wiped out smallpox so your kids may never need a vaccination? And who set the standards of purity on the imported food you eat?
Who helps you in dozens of ways you never dreamed of? The United Nations. Find out what the UN's been doing to help you.
Send for the free UN booklet. Write United Nations Association, Box 475, New York 10017. That's United Nations Association, Box 475, New York 10017. There's always been a U in the UN. A public service of this station and the Advertising Council.
Steve and Roy were both apprehended. They were tried, convicted, and are serving relatively short terms. Julie has gone her own way and is doing well. She often thinks of Noah. As for Noah, I don't have a follow-up on him, but there must be rewards as well as punishments, so I'm not worried. I'm sure I needn't worry either about having you in the audience for our next mysterious tale. Our cast included Ralph Bell, Bryna Rayburn, William Redfield, and Jack Grimes. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
Sol 3, calling Myra 7. Sol 3, calling Myra 7. Come in, Myra 7.
Myra 7 here. You may proceed, Sol 3.
Okay, Alfred. Remember, 3 seconds before you answer.
I know. This is Earthling 4825D. Earth designation Alfred Lathrop. I request audience with His Excellency Algus 2J.
Audience granted. Proceed.
Your Excellency, I wish to place in nomination for enrollment in your service the Earthling locally designated Carl Sims.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's quite the little tale, wasn't it? I told you, Cisco always brings it. The money makers. There is, I want to say, about 2025 really decent ghost stories within just the CBS Mystery Theater. And most of them have that little twist, a little piece of the puzzle somewhere, just like all of our ghost stories, just like all of our experiences and everything else. A lot of them are based on true stories. A lot of them are cases you'll see throughout. So I try to grab the ones I can I'm sorry about the sound on that one. You can almost hear like another radio playing in the background. That wasn't me. These have been like recorded off the radio, downloaded through multiple websites and back and forth and through the gauntlet. And I'm so glad that they saved them. I got a comment. I think it was the one, A Christmas Carol, that they did fantastic. The way they did that, and we put all the pictures with it and everything. It went over really nice. It was a nice little Christmas treat. And within the comments, they're so lovely, and I forget who exactly. I know his icon better than I know his name. He's got a really long name, but he posted that his grandfather worked for CBS radio station in New York, and always spoke fondly of it. Was in several of the shows. As a voice actor and behind the scenes. And I always thought that that's such a romantic thing to think about, back in the day when, like the women wear hats and gloves, like Steve and I talk about it all the time. And the men wore suits and hats and just show up there and get your script and stand around the old microphone and just put your all into it. I have no experience really doing that other than doing Cabin 22 and doing all the voices for it. And I truly enjoyed it. And I can't imagine if I was with other people and, playing that. And if you think back, that went into TV and the proper dress really. And live television that they did, and it was pretty cool. So thanks so much for everybody kicking in tonight. Like I said, I know I'm really early on Valentine's Day, but I can't even tell you the dozens and dozens of roses I am going to be doing and other tchotchke things in the floral industry. And it's a kind of a big deal. And you know what? I'm glad it's a big deal. Because however you think about it, whether it's, you feel like you're forced to do something, if you don't, you're a jerk, or what do you do? And you try to overdo it or don't do it at all, or Don't do it because they're telling you it's a day and you got to do it on that day. You know, the whole, whatever you think about it, at least it's celebrating love. At least it's celebrating light. And, you know, I've seen some really shitty things go down on Valentine's. I mean, you know, from our vantage point, you know, I've been a bartender during that time. I've been usually pick up the extra doing floral design. I mean, throughout my whole life. So it's kind of flashes of that stuff. But I can remember thinking back at my mom too, when I was a little kid and I'd go with, and it seemed like the flower stems were almost up to my knees, you know, in places. And probably so, because as I see it now, I mean, we sweep it all to one side and you clean it up at the end of the day. And I'm telling you, it's like your machine's in there sometimes. But the cool part always was it was, you know, celebrating the love, whether it was, you know, father getting his wife and his little daughter something, or, you know, that first date person that comes in, they really don't know what to do. And, you know, and I was always shitty to the owners of the company, because I would always grab the guys and say, listen, man, you don't need to do a dozen. One red rose means so much more, you know, and you don't want to start with a great big thing. You got nowhere to go, you know, especially, you know, if it's the first time. And I tell them what the colors of the roses meant, you know, purity, friendship, young love, eternal love. I mean, just all these different colors, the language of flowers, you know, it's, you know, what's not to love? What's not to love is being on your feet 18 hours. I worked in one place. She actually ran a tanning salon to the side. Like half the shop was tanning, half was flowers. Makes sense. You know, I always wanted a flower shop with to sell guns and roses. Wouldn't that be cool? You know, there actually was one here. It closed down. I always thought it was such a cool idea. But anyway, I digress. The piles of roses, rose stems and flower stems and things like that during a holiday, it just, nothing beats Valentine's. And I can remember my mom. I can look back and, you know, have memories there, and memories of so many that I worked. And that one in the tanning one, she actually wanted us to work like 20 hours on our feet and go get 4 hours of sleep in one of the tanning beds. And I told her, I said, I just gave her a look, and I'm like, no, I'm going home, honey. You don't understand. Or I don't do this. This is no, you know. So it's never bet that there's two lessons there. Don't overdo it. Don't let anybody make you overdo it. Don't do it if you don't want to do it. You know, if you want to give somebody flowers, do it. If you want to give them a card, do it. If you want to take them to lunch, if you want to draw them a bath, if you want to, you know, just tell them you care. You know, you don't have to follow any stigma. But it is amazing the amount of people that still hold to quite an odd tradition of this giving of nature and flowers and the meaning of them, to the point where it would be such an industry. Of course, it's commercialized, of course, but it's almost a little purer than, you know, like what they made us think about diamonds and things like that. You have to give a diamond for a ring and all that. Oh, that's all De Beers and the illusion, and like, we won't get into that. But a flower, it's so source, you know, the language of flower, and, you know, so it means something. It always makes me smile, no matter how tired I get, no matter how many cuts on my hands I get. I think it's always great to see that, you know, the old face go out with a smile to give whatever they just bought to their love, you know, whether it's grandkids or somebody they've been married to 50 years or somebody they just met. You know, it's always cool. It's a celebration of love. So don't let anybody tell you different. Don't get jaded by it. If you want to pick wild violets, you know, you can find them now anywhere on the globe, but, or anything, you know, or make a card, or, you know, or be kind to your local floral designer. You know, I guarantee you, we know where the good stuff is. You know what I mean? And don't overlook the small businesses and stuff, or doing it yourself. which is even better. Go down to the wherever they have a fresh bouquet and put something together yourself. That's even better, you know. So there you go. Celebration of love. I love you guys. And if I didn't do it now, I probably wouldn't have gotten it in there. We've got a lot of good shows planned. Like I said, the 29th, the wonderful Greg Goss will be here with the beautiful and ever Vescent Lynn Monet. They both have so many skills. Greg Goss is into ITC, which is in communication with the dead, basically. And so is Lynn. Both different tools and some of the same tools. We all have some of them. We all use some of them. So excited about that. Steve and I were talking today about a little something we're cooking up for the Monday Madness pot. And I just really appreciate you guys. And I really felt bad I missed you Saturday. So I thought this would be nice to, at least it's a little late, but at least you still got 2 kind of episodes this week. And I didn't leave you hanging too much because you mean a lot to me. Bacon to everybody. Make sure you get as much of that as possible because it's turning into gold. And it's gold here with the gatekeepers and these wonderful mods and the wonderful listeners. I wish you love. And I'm going to play you out with a little music. And again, this is one of our featured artists. You'll recognize them. And I think it's a good little ditty, and get you some more of those Cat Valentines out there and sling some more hearts at you. I love you. Good night, everybody. Keep your feet under the covers and keep the closet doors shut because there are things that go bump in the night. Love you all. Keep your lights on.